Big O Show. This is the 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 Big O Show. This
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
Oh, I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloman Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
When presenting an award to an employee, athlete, executive, or fantasy GM, make sure you call Orvieto's Awards and More. For 35 years, these custom award specialists have been providing plaques, trophies, custom framing, while providing state-of-the-art laser and computerized engraving, UV printing, and glass crystal etching. They do all their engraving and printing in-house for quality control. Call Charles at 305-949-8098 or visit them at orvietosawards.com. Orvieto's Awards and More, where recognition is rewarding.
Welcome to Caneswear. New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, Caneswear has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot Miami fans shop.
With more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes, Welton Rayom is committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. They handle complex personal injury claims caused by the fault of another in both state and federal courts. They handle auto, trucking, motorcycle, slip and fall, and bicycle accidents. Call 954-966-4646. That's 954-966-4646. Welton Rayom can help.
May the 4th, I'll be in Immokalee at the Seminole Casino Hotel with the legendary Inner Circle. See? We see you there. Rastafari love. And I'm jamming with you, yeah. Jamming, yeah. And I'm jamming to you, yeah.
The viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Ready to go. Ready to rock and roll. It's a Tuesday. Yes, sir. Did I wake anybody up right now? Do you have it out in the office? And they're going, what the hell is that in that cubicle? What's going on? Hello, hello, hello. It is a Tuesday draft week. We will continue to get you prepared for the NFL draft, Dolphins style, of course. We do it today. We got a lot of things to talk about, a lot of people to talk to. David Furones will join us like he does every Tuesday. Manny Navarro will join us like he does every Tuesday. Chris Trapasso is going to join us from CBS Sports, NFL draft analyst. And Luke Easterling, our buddy from Athlon Sports, also doing a little draft, also a draft expert. He's going to join us too. Tomorrow, Kyle Krabs, Jeremy Fowler from ESPN will be joining us. Maybe something else. I don't know. We'll see. I'll try to squeeze in some more stuff to get more draft stuff for you guys as much as possible. Like I promised you this week that we would do a lot of heavy draft stuff. Obviously, we'll talk a little Heat. We'll talk Panthers. Tonight, they go for game 2. Very important game. I mean, look, mostly in playoffs, even if you're down 2-0 or up 2-0, and if you're the road team down 2-0, it's not good for you, but it's not the end of the world because now you go home for 2. So they held serve. Now you've got to hold serve, right? So that's kind of the way it goes. So it's, 2-0 doesn't really mean much unless they're winning on your court or your ice or something like that. Then that's not good. You know what I'm saying? So, but Panthers need to win tonight against Tampa. And why do I say that? Because last night, Toronto beat Boston. Toronto beat Boston 3-2 last night. Late goal in the third period. I watched that game. Why am I watching that series? Just in case for those of you out there that don't realize, the Panthers will play the winner of the Toronto-Boston series. And that series is tied at 1. So now Boston already, now that series started. Now it's a series. Okay? Now it's a series. So Toronto goes and wins on Boston's home ice. It's 1-1. Now, all the pressure's on Boston now. They've got to steal one in Toronto, right? So if you're Florida, what you want to do is win tonight, control, win home ice. It's great to be up 2-0, but it doesn't mean really anything yet, okay? Because if you go to Tampa and lose the next two, it's no good. But what you do is you put all the pressure on Tampa, and if Florida can go and steal one in Tampa and go up 3-1 and come back here, that's how you really take control of the series. You know, a 2-0 lead, if you're the home team, is not that big a deal. It's nice, but it's not that big a deal until you start going on the road and start winning on the road. As I think it was Pat Riley that was quoted, I don't know, 3 decades ago or some shit like that. A playoff series doesn't start until the home team loses or something like that. I forgot how the saying goes or something like that. But I think it was Riley. It was quoted decades ago. I think it was with the Lakers then or some shit like that. So you know, it's one of those deals where you kind of want to, like, you know, hold serve and all that good stuff, unless it's the Heat Celtics. That if the Celtics win tomorrow night, and now it doesn't mean anything because the Heat are not good enough. So the Celtics will probably either win both or one of the two at home here in Miami anyway. So that doesn't matter. But when you're a good team, the series really hasn't started until a home team loses. And then we've got something going on. So very important tonight that the Panthers win. So you can put a lot of pressure on Tampa over the next, 2 games. And if you can, I wouldn't even say steal one, because the Cats are better than Tampa. You need to go there and win, period. End of story. Go win. Win one of the two at least. I'm not demanding both, but you got to win tonight, and then you got to find a way to take one in Tampa to really stick it to them, man. Really, really important. So I can't wait for tonight. It was great last night that I didn't have the Heat and the Panthers, and so I was able to watch the Toronto-Boston game, and and watching some other things too at the same time. I didn't watch any Marlins. Sorry, I'm not. It's just like, who gives a shit? You know what I'm saying? They lost yesterday 3-0. Who cares? But the Panthers, this is the way you got to kind of look at it. Tonight is a must-win. You want to go up 2-0. You want to control the series, and then you need to go to Tampa and take one of those two, and that would be just a beautiful. Well, I would love for them to win both against Tampa, and then you sit back and watch Boston and Toronto go to 7 games. But I'm getting way ahead of myself here. Let's first win tonight. Let's talk about Wednesday that the Cats are up 2-0, okay? Because this is the team, this is the franchise that has the opportunity of giving us a championship parade. If we're really honest with ourselves, this is the only team. Inter has the offense, but their defense will cost them in the playoffs. It may even cost them in the Eastern Conference down the line. I don't know. It's so hard to, in any sport, to live off of we will outscore you and we have no defense. That's really hard in any sport. I'm an old man, bro. Okay, I'm 57 years old. I am old. And so I've been around for a long time. I don't remember teams winning championships that just sucked on defense. Not average, not half decent, not mediocre, suck. And Inter Miami sucks defensively. So they're the only other team that really right now looks like they have a shot at a title. But even with Messi and everything, I just have a problem thinking that you're just going to outscore everybody from here all the way to the title, even if it's the MLS. So the Panthers are truly our saving grace, because the Panthers can be the best team in the league. The Panthers have legitimate stars. And unlike the Heat, the Panthers actually try in the regular season. Speaking of trying in the regular season, I want to do something here that will be painful for the Miami Heat Nation. It is painful for me to have to do this. I want to praise the hell out of the New York Knicks. They beat the 76ers yesterday in a game they should have lost. Maxey played out of his mind. Embiid is not himself, dude. He shot 12 of 29. I know he scored 34 points, but if you need 29 shots to score 34 points, you're not very good. That's not really productive. That's not efficient at all. He's not that guy yet. And Maxey had to try so much that he even made mistakes at the end. He is a star and a half, dude. That guy is a stud. They actually needed a third person yesterday. But, Tobias Harris is Tobias Harris. So what are you going to do? But the Knicks, let me give the Knicks, because whether it's Brunson or Hart or DiVincenzo, guys are just hitting big-time shots, making big-time plays. And, people said, well, the Knicks killed themselves to get to the second seed, and will they have anything left? Well, guess what, folks? The Knicks busted their asses in the regular season. Are you listening, Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat? Are you listening? They busted their asses to get the number 2 seed. They sat back and got to rest for a week. Unlike you, Jimmy Butler, you chose to be a lazy ass the entire regular season, go buy new coffee beans, go ride horses, and do commercials instead, and you had to play a play-in game that got your ass injured. That's called karma. That's because you kept laughing at the basketball gods. Oh, we did it last year. We can do it every year. No, you can't. You got lucky last year. The problem with the flukish Heat is that you had the fluke run in the bubble, and you had the fluke run last year because Giannis was injured and breaks went your way. And because of that, you make it look like it was easy when it's not. And so there were factors that helped you out in 2 of these last 4 years. Guess what? Those factors aren't included in this season here. And that's why your ass is going to be out really early. But the Knicks, they busted their asses during the regular season, and they're busting their asses during the playoffs. And so now they find themselves up to nothing. And they should. They're home. Like I said, this is really nothing. It's up to now. You go to Philadelphia, you got to try to win one of those 2. Or if Philly wins the next 2, we're back to 0 again. It's what I told you at the beginning of this. Because that's kind of, you can't get too high, too low about 2-0. If you're the team with 2-0, if you're the fan base of 2-0, you can never take that for granted, because that doesn't mean shit. Until you play games 3 and 4, then we find out what's what. You know what I'm saying? So, but for now, what I will admire is that the constant effort, and it's a Tom Thibodeau team. That's his signature. You're not going to play for Tom Thibodeau if you're a lazy ass. That's life, man. That's the world with Tom Thibodeau. You better work hard, but the Knicks play like how the Heat used to play. Like when the stars, like Alonzo Mourning used to play, and, the stars and Dwayne Wade and, the stars left it all on the courts. LeBron James, Chris Bosh, the stars, Ray Allen, and, Shane Battier sold his ass off for this team when he would play and he'd come in. You remember all of that, right? People that were stars in other teams and then role players here, stars from other teams that came here and were stars here, and they played hard all year long and they fought for high seeds. Somehow or another, that's no longer part of the equation for the Miami Heat. Why? Because one guy has polluted the entire waters. One guy polluted the entire organization. And the one guy bit himself in the ass now. because he chose to be lazy. Nothing more, nothing less. I'm going with lazy. And he's no longer a star anymore. Real stars, like Brunson, they help you in the regular season to get a higher seed so you can be in more advantageous position. And then they help you in the playoffs. Where's Jimmy Butler? Guess you can't find the star anymore. That's because Jimmy Butler is no longer a star. And by the way, if you guys want to keep lying to yourselves, because we don't do this on the show here. We don't lie to ourselves. Okay, so I get Heat Nation. I already proven your Bam and your Tyler theory of stars. Wrong. Over and over again. Okay, wrong, and wrong. So we want to get into the Butler argument now? Because he's no longer a star either. But if you want to lie to yourself, you go ahead and lie to yourself. Stars help you in the regular season and in the postseason. And Jimmy has proven to us for 2 straight years. He no longer wants to help you in the regular season. He's no longer a star. Stars aren't part-time people, bro. Your mom and your dad, for those of you that enjoyed that throughout your lives, some of you have some, not all, of course. Some have moms and dads that are stars. Were they stars like just once in a blue moon, or was it like your mom was fucking clutch every day? That's kind of what it is. The employee of the month was the employee of the entire month. He or she didn't just show up on Fridays to earn the employee of the month. The employee of the year, the teacher of the year, they didn't take days off. There's a reason why they're stars. Stars are people that shine all the time. When you look up in the sky and it's nighttime, is it not shining the entire time? That's a star. Holy shit. All day long, the sun is shining. I don't know if you want to consider that a star, but it's shining. All day. All day. Your mom, your dad, your big brother, your big sister, your uncle, your grandfather, your grandmother. Some of them are stars, right? Because, man, they come through for you all the time. Not sometimes, not part-time, not next week. No. All the time. All the time. That's the definition of a star. Because, I had Ira already like freaking, so Jimmy's not a star. Well, I know Ira likes to say, well, I got to disagree. Well, hey, guess what? You'll be wrong again. You were wrong about Bam. You're wrong about Tyler. You're wrong about everything else going on. I mean, if you want to go ahead against me, you go ahead. But somehow or another, I seem to be right all the time about this shit. So you go ahead and lie to yourself about Jimmy Butler. He's no longer a star. I get it, dude. I live this with the Dolphins and the Dolphin Nation. A lot of you dumb down your definition of a great franchise, of winning, of what matters, and all that kind of shit. You go ahead. But since I'm old and I lived actually the real winning years and championship, the stuff that's happened the last 20 years is garbage. You have what? Little individual moments. It's bullshit. Bullshit. Nothing. But you go ahead and lower your standards on what Ryan Tannehill, he'll turn the corner. You go ahead and do that. And you go ahead and lower your standards now for Jimmy Butler, who does not play to your standards. But you don't even realize. He doesn't even play to Heat standards. And then I watched the Knicks last night, and all I am is pissed. Because I'm saying, shit, dude, that used to be my team. That was my team. My team used to play like that all the time. My team says, hey, get off of me, and I'll throw you into the stands. That's P.J. Brown. That's my team. That's the team I remember. I remember fall down 7 times, get up 8. That's my team. My star falling down 7 times getting up 8. That's Dwayne Wade. That's my team. My team is the guy that's flexing, blocking, rebounding. That's Alonzo Mourning. That's my team. This team now that I'm watching, that's not what I know as the Miami Heat organization, because one guy polluted the entire waters. He's polluted him so much, he's manipulated everything now. So he can just vacation the entire season. Oh, no, and I'll show up for the playoffs. Yeah, well, how'd that work out? Okay, so you go ahead and lie to yourself about Jimmy Butler. Stars help you all year long. Go watch the kid for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Is he waiting to the postseason, or is he putting on a freaking show the entire year? And Minnesota is one of the top seeds. Oh, yeah, that's exactly it. It's the latter. So I'm watching the Knicks last night, and I'm commending them. They deserve the praise, but I'm pissed. And don't ever call Jimmy Butler a star again. He was a star. He's not a star anymore. Okay? Part-time players aren't stars. They're not franchise players. Hey, that's the Heat's problem. They're paying him like that. They're the ones getting ripped off, paying $50 million for a guy that can't even play in the postseason, much less he's useless in the regular season. You know what I mean? That's their problem. And they're paying Tyler Hero $30 million. That's their problem. Okay? I can't do anything about it. I would have never paid Tyler. I was never a believer in Tyler. What can I tell you? You know. But I'm watching the Knicks, and I'm going, that's how my team used to play. Man, I remember those days. What a shame. What a real shame, dude. By the way, anybody going to rock? This is my first concert in months tonight. Tonight, baby. And I'm not talking about the Wallflowers in the plaza there in Orlando tonight, or Britt Floyd at the Pensacola Sagner Theater. That's for you, Dougie Fresh. You can go see Britt Floyd there in Pensacola. Now, tonight I'm going to see Saxon and Uriah Heep at the Parker Playhouse. Anybody going to that concert? I'll be there tonight. I'll be front row, baby. Front row. I will be able to sit at least a little bit if I want to. I probably won't sit during the Saxon. And then during Uriah Heep, I may sit some, you know. Yesterday, I did my rehab. And I walked a third of a mile. They put me, they always like do all kinds of tests, balancing and all kinds of crap with my ankle. And to strengthen it and to build it back up again and all that. And I'm past pain. It's just, regular soreness now. And I've done the biking and I've done some stuff, but I hadn't done a long distance walk. I've done a little walking here in the neighborhood, just a little bit, but he got me going, and I did like a third of a mile, man. It was pretty cool. That was like the longest distance I've walked with my foot now. And I was a little nervous because he goes, all right, let's go 10 minutes. And I was like, man, I don't know if I can, we'll see, and I was able to power through it. Very little soreness today. It was like really enlightening, because it's, you got to go through the mental part of it of, your unstable Achilles, because they stretched it out and all that. So it has to kind of stabilize and heal and all that. And so when it first came out of the operation, my right foot, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't put any kind of weight at all on it. You know what I mean? And so luckily I've also lost weight. So it's less weight on the joints. But yesterday was very progressive as I was able to walk a third of a mile, which was really, really huge. And going to a concert tonight, which is, I got these tickets a long time ago. It was like, I'm glad I'm healed up enough to go, because I missed 3 concerts. Even a listener offered me tickets for Journey and Toto, and I had to turn them down because I wasn't going to force my wife to push me around from the car of the Hard Rock where you park all the way to the, that's just cruel and unusual. My wife would do it gladly, effortlessly. She wouldn't, no shame whatsoever. She's fine with it. She's a stud, but I would not do that to her. You know what I mean? It's not fair. So I missed like 3 shows that I really wanted to go to. Vandenberg. I hadn't seen Vandenberg since the 80s, bro. I'm so fucking pissed that I missed Vandenberg. I never got to see Vandenberg with the Moon Kings, and I'm an Adrian Vandenberg fan. What was the other concert I missed? It's another concert I missed. I was so pissed. So I am so happy that I'm going to go to Saxon and Uriah Heep tonight. By the way, Death Cab for Cutie is at the Kia Center tomorrow and Wednesday in Orlando for you folks in the Central State. Ponte Vedra, they have the Wallflowers on Wednesday. So you can go there. Don't go with one headlight because you might get a ticket. Anyway, so you want to see the Wallflowers, you can go Ponte Vedra. Memories for me, because that's one of the 2 last concerts I ever went with Bill. We saw UFO at Ponte Vedra, and then the next night we saw them in Clearwater. And those were the last 2 concerts that I went with my best friend Bill to a concert. So, wow. Wednesday also, Uriah Heep and Saxon will be at the Seminole in Tampa, and Thursday, Hard and Cheap Trick here at the Hard Rock in Hollywood. So since I was going to a concert, might as well tell you about the other concerts that are going on around the state. But I am looking forward to rocking out tonight, baby. I am looking forward to it. Little Saxon. No Paul Quinn. He's semi-retired. He's got like a little band on his own that he's touring, but he's writing music for Saxon and their new album. But he's not touring anymore. You probably get tired of touring after 40 years of touring, So if you are going to see Saxon and Uriah Heep tonight at Parker, say hi. Okay? Please. Loaded show. Chris Trapasso, by the way, from CBS Sports NFL Draft Analyst, will be joining us any minute now. We'll have some fun with him. You just saw Stephen Marley there right before the show, and that'll be May 4th, baby. Stephen Marley is coming to town, and he'll be at the Seminole Casino Hotel in Immokalee, May 4th. I'll be there next week. We're giving away tickets, a pair of tickets this Friday. DM me on Twitter at Big O Show and at Big O Radio Show on Instagram and on Threads. And send me your full name, your email, and your cell number. And if I pick you to win, I'll tell you where to go to pick up the tickets at Will Call and all that good stuff. So the winner will get an answer from me. If you can go to see Stephen Marley at the Seminole Casino Hotel in Immokalee, remember, that's in northern Palm Beach County. So if you're not willing to make the drive like I am, do not go for the tickets. Now, if you live in that area and you're comfortable in Palm Beach or Port St. Lucie, then, go for it, baby. And you can meet me there. Ziggy Marley is part of his new album. Steven's got a new album. It's called Old Soul. So Ziggy's in it. Bob Weir's in it. Eric Clapton is in it. Jack Johnson's in it. It's really cool. Inner Circle is opening up for him. They're a killer band. Bad boys. Oh, what you gonna do? Oh, what you gonna do when they come for you? And you got the QR code right there if you want to get the tickets. And if you're listening on audio, go to the Seminole Casino Hotel in Immokalee, and you can get the tickets there. By the way, they've got a couple of other concerts coming besides Stephen Marley. Wayne Newton, Saturday, June 1st. The Jacksons, Wednesday, June 12th. They have John Lodge. If you're an ELP fan, you can check out John Lodge. Hunter Hayes, also August 3rd. By the way, John Lodge will be there on Friday, August 2nd at the Seminole Center. So a whole bunch of concerts coming. You can check it out. All right. Let's get into a little draft talk. Give me 30 seconds. When we come back, Chris Trapasso, baby, our buddy from CBS Sports, NFL draft analyst, will join us next right here on the Big O Radio Show.
Welcome to Caneswear. New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, Caneswear has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot Miami fans shop.
All right. I didn't notice you were going right back. All right, we are back. Chris, how you feeling, baby?
Everything's great. This is an awesome week. I feel more energy when it's draft week. And I'm now kind of getting to the point, middle portion of draft week, that I'm just ready for the draft to be here. But thanks for having me again, O.
Oh, man, it's always good to have you on, dude. You do an excellent job, as always. That's why I love bringing you on during the draft time. And I know it's like Christmas right now.
Yes.
That's what I call it this year. This week is it's basically Christmas for the NFL fans, NFL teams, all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And for you, it's like a year-round thing because you're tracking the draft, you're tracking the young players, all that kind of stuff for CBS. So for you, it's kind of the draft and then the progress of it.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what's kind of how my job has evolved at CBS Sports. Started off just as a draft analyst, but then I was watching 250 to 300 prospects every year, and suddenly they're rookies, then they're in their second season, tracking that development to see if these guys are worthy of getting second deals or if they're busts or, you know, those diamonds in the rough, 5th, 6th, 7th round that become quality players. It's really fun to continue to track them once they get into the NFL, along with tracking the next year's draft class every year.
You mean like a third rounder, like Devon A-Chain?
Yeah, someone like him. Yeah, we're overlooked a little bit, but had he not gotten hurt, I think he would have really battled with CJ Stroud to win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, man. And dude, he's headed for a payday. That's for damn sure. I mean, he is as explosive as it gets, and it looked like he added a little bit more muscle. You know, he was built well. It's kind of like Kader Kohu, who came out of Division II, and he already had an NFL body. When I was at camp, and you're there, you go to the locker room, and you're like, holy shit, this guy's Division II? And it's like, that's why he's such a great tackler. He's actually the best tackler we have in the secondary here. When we watch the Dolphins, he's the best tackler that they have easily in the secondary. He is nasty. I think he'll actually play better now in the Weaver system. I don't know. It just seemed like young guys didn't flourish nearly as much with the old man. And so it's kind of those. I almost think like he needs that change of scenery where he gets to attack more and be more physical, which I think that's more of the Baltimore way than the Fangio way, which is more reading and reacting. But it's funny how some of these kids come out and they're kind of under the radar. Kohu a couple years ago, and now we see a Chan. But yet, if you look at them, they're also physically, they've been, pretty built for this level.
Yeah, that's a great point to bring up. I usually think about offensive linemen. I always write in my scouting reports that prospects are not necessarily NFL strong once they get to the NFL. And it's usually we think in the trenches. But to bring up Kohu, to bring up Achan, I think for all players, it takes probably at least one full year in an NFL strength and conditioning program to get to the level of strength and just physicality, even if you're coming from the SEC like Achan was, or you're coming from Texas A&M Commerce. It takes a year to get as strong as you need to be to max out your body physically to meet the demands of not just making a tackle on week 1 or week 2, but the rigors of a now 18-week schedule and now into the playoffs. So I think that's a good point that we can talk about. Offensive and defensive linemen need to add weight, gain weight, get stronger, but it really goes for all the positions.
Dude, O-linemen sometimes it takes them more than a year.
Yeah.
Kind of really get to where they need to go. Some O-linemen sometimes take a couple of years because they really come in light on the shorts and they've got to really build up. And then the strength that they have to build up in order to hold these grown ass D linemen that need to pay for 4 houses and 3 girlfriends. Those are hungry dogs that you've got on the other side of the line. So it's even linemen. So look, Austin Jackson's one that it took him a couple years to he had bad coaching early on. Nobody helped him early on. These guys that we see now with the Dolphins, these guys understand offensive line play. They're getting the max out of anybody that lines up, actually. So these guys, they made Austin Jackson what he is now, bro. They did an awesome job with him because he was headed for complete Bustville.
Yeah, he certainly was. And I think he is, and we're going to hear a lot about this in the first round and throughout the draft. He is the prime example of big-time athlete with all the size, all the measurables that you would want at a specific position, offensive tackle for Austin Jackson, and just needed to be well coached, needed to get stronger, and it took time and it took the right coaching staff to get the most out of him. We will hear and see the names of these kind of raw specimens who need that once they get to the NFL. If they don't get it, they're going to ultimately bust out of the league or turn into role players or just never really make it. But if you have the physical tools like in Austin Jackson, there is an outcome where you can be a high caliber player like he showed he was last season.
Yep, I'm with you there. By the way, you can follow him on Twitter at Chris Trapasso at CBS Sports. He does an excellent job if you want to follow the draft. Let's get into Miami's first round pick. And one of the themes that I've been using is you never want to draft just for need. That's super dangerous. You want to take the best player. But the beauty for the Dolphins is they need help on O-line and D-line, whether it's in the middle of the D-line, whether it's pass rusher or O-line, whether it's guard, or if you want to plan for post-Teron Armstead next year, a guard that can play tackle. And by the way, Chris, I am of the thinking Austin Jackson hasn't improved just a little bit. He's improved so much that I believe eventually he's the guy that swings to left. Yeah. And then whoever they draft actually can either play inside this year and then next year can actually pop to the right, because knowing Chris Greer, he loves to make deals where he gets that second-year contract or he gets a guy underpriced or something like that. And what would be better than you just sign Austin to an extension for right tackle, and now you move him over to left, and you're paying him right tackle money while you're paying a rookie or a second-year player at that moment to play right tackle. So I think there's that in the cards in the future. So I'm going to ask you, with those kind of intentions, if you would think of it in that intention, or somebody that straight up you think is a left tackle, talk to me at 21. What is realistic in Chris Trapasso's eyes that would be there at 21?
Well, what's good for the Dolphins truly is a lot of those needs that you outlined. It kind of aligns with the talent that's going to be on the board, and it's really going to be up to Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer, or Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer, to be able to say, do we want an edge rusher? Do we want an offensive tackle that can play guard, like you mentioned? Do we want an interior pass rusher? I think this offensive tackle class is as good as the wide receiver class. So there's going to be a premier, probably right tackle, whether that's a Marius Mims from Georgia. Do they love Graham Barton from Duke, who can play guard or tackle? J.C. Latham from Alabama could be available as well. One of the big 4 edge rushers is at Florida State's Jared Verse, is at UCLA's Laiatu Latu. I mean, really, when you think about it, those positions, they meet need and value together. And that's like what you were saying. You don't want to only draft for need. But in this class, I think the Dolphins are really set up right kind of in the middle of the first round, where the premier players, at least a few of them at those 2 spots, will be available. And don't be surprised if they even lean toward interior defensive line after losing Christian Wilkins, with either Byron Murphy from Texas or Johnny Newton from Illinois. 2 up the field pass rushers that I think can be 50 to 60 pressure, 8 to 10 sack interior defensive linemen. So they're almost in a position where they can sit back, let the draft come to them, and then really have their, I don't want to say pick of the litter, but there will be multiple quality players that will be correct value at 21 at offensive tackle, edge rusher, and most likely on the interior of the defensive line.
All right. So, Chris, what do you think is realistic? Like, you've mocked it. What 2 players you think they could realistically end up with?
I think J.C. Latham from Alabama, either he or Amarius Mims, one of those 2 I think will be on the board. It's hard to peg, and from asking around the league, some teams love the upside with Amarius Mims, but he only played in 8 games last year. There's some injury concerns. J.C. Latham was just a steady player, used to play right guard at Alabama, kicked over to right tackle, which maybe that is in the cards for the future of this Dolphins offensive line, like you're mentioning.
Players. Miami Chris Greer loves Bama players.
Yeah, I think J.C. Latham makes a ton of sense. The one name that I think maybe if they trade back and they just see, wow, there's just a glut of talent available, let's move back a little bit. Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon is really interesting to me because he's a center, but he's like 6'3", 335. He could play guard early in his career, can take the place of Robert Hunt, and then eventually kick over to center if he needs to. So those 2 names, those 2 or 3, I think up front, I think with an offensive-minded head coach that has his roots in the ground game and all of the intricacies that he does with the zone blocking scheme, mixing it up really well from his time with Kyle Shanahan that we saw was kind of an underrated part of how good the Dolphins offense was last year. It's just how great the run game and how efficient the run game was. I think he's going to lean more toward let's get a quality, talented player up front on the offensive side. And then, like you said, maybe the 2-year plan is Austin Jackson is the left tackle in 2025, and your first rounder from 2024 is playing right tackle.
You know, dude, you hit on something that last night I was talking to a scout, and he goes to me, Powers will fall past 21. So
that's kind of the thought, yeah.
That's what you're thinking, and he was thinking the same thing. And he goes, if Miami wants to, they can actually drop down if they want Powers. If they want one of the interior linemen, other guys, whether it's a guard or tackle or a pass rusher, they're going to have to stay right there and get the guy. But if they want Powers, they can drop down. And then when I finished and I hung up with him, I thought about this, and I said, son of a bitch, if they do that because they want to get an extra pick in the 3rd round or some shit like that, then they move down to 25 or 27 and they still draft Powers. And because they signed the Brewer kid from the Titans, what they do is Brewer is so athletic that he can move to the 2nd level quickly. And in this zone scheme, you kind of need guys that can move quickly. Yeah. And because this guy, Powers, can play center, he can back up Brewer just in case something happens. It gives Tua the depth that he has as a quarterback to have a reliable center as a backup also, because that's Powers' natural position. Meanwhile, he's playing guard. He can see the calls being made, learn everything, and he's athletic. So it kind of adds to everything that they're trying to do at that spot. So they stay athletic at guard. They're grooming their future center. They have a current center now that can actually play the scheme that they want, because in this scheme, you've got to be really athletic at center, actually. They want people that can move around and get to the 2nd level. They don't like road graders in this system. You got to be a little lighter and more athletic in this system. So this guy's kind of a bigger guy, but he's still an agile guy. So it kind of makes sense that if you see Miami move down a couple spots, you triggered it, dude. It might be a Powers thing.
And what I think too is the last 2 drafts, the Dolphins have only made 8 total picks. They've seen some of those picks get poached off their practice squad. So when you're kind of all in, you have Tua's deal coming up, you lose Christian Wilkins, but you have Tyreek Hill getting up there in age, but still an elite receiver. Jalen Waddle's contract coming up as well. I think it's smart to replenish the roster, like you're mentioning, to have the backup center who's playing guard, who's going to eventually be your center. It wouldn't be beyond just finding the right player in the 1st round, trading back to, like you mentioned, maybe get an extra 3rd round pick to add the cheaper talent that you can add to this roster that's young and doesn't have a lot of mileage and injury history on its legs, I think that makes a lot more sense, especially for a team that is so much in win now mode, but again, has not had a lot of draft capital the last 2 drafts to be able to kind of fill in those reinforcements.
And Chris, I know you talked about Jared Verse.
Mm-hmm.
I love him, dude. But I just kind of feel we need to put a crack pipe in front of him to see for him to fall at 21. But do you really think he can be there at 21? Because I actually love Latou, and I actually think Latou might be. So in a pass rusher, who's the guy that realistically you think will be there? Do you really think Jared Verse will fall there? Because I kind of think he'll be taken already by 21.
Probably, but I do think to me, it's a big 4 because I love Chop Robinson from Penn State and his upside. If you want to bet on the right coaching and getting the most out of a player who's only going to be 21 as a rookie, Chop Robinson would be the guy. Verse may not be there. Dallas Turner from Alabama almost assuredly won't be, but I think of the big 4, 2 will be available, whether that's Latou and Chop Robinson. Is it Verse and Chop Robinson? It feels like Robinson is the most likely to be available at 21, and maybe even after that trade back that we've been discussing, that he could still be on the board. So if they want to go that direction and fill out some of the offensive line needs later in the draft, I do think at least 2 of the big 4 that have been talked about the most at the edge rusher spot will be there.
Yeah, Chop may even drop a little bit because of the youth. By the way, can we send a message out there to the Dolphin Nation? They're not drafting Xavier Worthy in the first round, dude. Come on, bro.
No, I don't think so. I mean, that would be fun, especially they add more speed, but I think this regime has more of a level head and understands like that's not the biggest need and maybe wouldn't meet the right value for Xavier Worthy at 21.
Dude, that's a luxury pick at this point.
Luxury pick, yeah.
That's a team that's already loaded, and they want to add a feature to their offense that they just say, all right, we don't really need that too much. Or KC, if they want to at the end of the round, if they want to, like, you know what, let's give Mahomes another little weapon to have some fun out there. I can see that, because you're freaking KC. You're bringing Chris Jones back. You got everybody pretty much back. You can. That's a luxury pick that if KC wanted to do at 32, okay, I kind of understand it. But the Dolphins, I get it. The guy loves speed. I mean, that we get it. But there's no chance. No chance, right?
And I think, too, that, this might sound silly to say this, and it's probably a good problem to have, but at that point, if you draft Xavier Worthy, there's only one football to go around. And are you lessening the impact that Tyreek Hill can make because you feel you got to throw it to Xavier Worthy? And then what about Jalen Waddle? And what about the run game? You re-sign Raheem Mostert. Exactly. Like, I think at that point, for as much as it's all about, it's kind of an arms race now to add as many weapons as possible. Yeah, exactly. And I think the Dolphins truly were at their best when the run game was really going. Like, certainly the big plays from Tyreek Hill and Waddle, but the games where they just looked like unstoppable, whether it was early in the season or even down the stretch when some injuries kind of settled in, when they were running the football like the San Francisco 49ers type way and not afraid to lean on Mostert and Achane, that's when the offense was the most scary, I think, for the rest of the NFL.
McDaniel, are you listening to Chris? Stop abandoning the run, damn it. Yeah, it's one of the things that kind of pisses me off about Mike. He has this tendency of getting too cutesy with the passing game, and he overdoes it when sometimes it's all about kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. Hand it off, hand it off, hand it off. Come on, man, especially when it's working. It's just there are times that he does that, and it just drives me crazy. All right, Chris, let's move over to the second round. And one of the interesting things, you tell me because you're an expert at this, we talk about the early part where you can get some linemen, right? But it's kind of interesting that you're missing Christian Wilkins. There's actually going to be some defensive tackles available in the second round where Miami picks too. Again, this goes in the conversation of you don't want to reach by need, but your needs happen to be in reach. So, so talk to me a little bit about the second round and what you're seeing there. Again, opposite of that, maybe linebacker also can be thrown in there, in that part of the second round too. So talk to me a little bit about what you see there in the second round, O-line, D-line, pass rusher, linebacker, those kind of things.
Well, I'll just start off by saying the offensive line, whether it's tackle, whether it's on the interior, there's plenty of depth there, a lot of good players. If the Dolphins go in a different direction in the first round, they can get a quality blocker that fits what they want to do, like the mobility, the athleticism, the lateral quickness will be there. I also love the interior defensive line depth on day 2. Chris Jenkins from Michigan, Brandon Dorless is kind of like I'm not going to call him Chris Jones, but he's kind of a Chris Jones type that he's like 6'3", 290, really slippery, was a very productive pass rusher at Oregon. There's 2 Clemson defensive linemen that might be picked in that range. It feels like if they want to get a really good Rook. Yes, I love Rook. I love Rook. Rook Ro is how you pronounce it, apparently.
Is that it? I need to learn that name because they might pick that one in the second round. What was it again?
Rook Ro. Truly, that's how you pronounce his name. He said it in an interview. So he's a good one. Michael Hall from Ohio State is another. So there's 4 or 5 right there where if they want to plug that hole left by Christian Wilkins signing with the Raiders.
Who's the guy you like out of that group?
I love Michael Hall the most. I think at his age, he's only going to be 20 when he's drafted, which you could think, hey, maybe that's too young. But the production that he had in the Big Ten at such a young age against 23, 24-year-olds, all with the extra COVID year, very impressive to me. The pass rush moves are there. He's a plus athlete. I think he's another one that could be in that Austin Jackson mode where in a year or two, we're like, man, Michael Hall was the steal of the interior of the defensive line class. And lastly, linebackers. What's that?
I think Roku is that guy also because he's been playing only since 11th grade.
Yeah.
He's a Nigerian kid, I think. So this is one of those cats that is just on pure talent right now is what you're watching. He hasn't really, everything hasn't really settled in with him that when it does, it could get ugly.
Yeah, Rook is he's a big time specimen. He's bigger, longer, and stronger than Michael Hall. So a different type, which I know that's kind of what Christian Wilkins was. He was this guy that could control blockers. He was great against the run, a pretty good pass rusher. With Rook from Clemson, that's kind of what I see. He was an older prospect, just like Christian Wilkins was, who played a lot of football at Clemson. The one thing that I wanted to mention is linebacker. It feels like right around where the Dolphins pick at 55 in round 2, that's where the off-ball linebackers are going to start coming off the board. Maybe we see Edgerrin Cooper from Texas A&M picked a little earlier, but Peyton Wilson from NC State, Cedric Gray from North Carolina, 2 like 3-down modern-day linebackers who can cover, they can blitz, they're pretty good against the run. So if they wanted to fill a couple holes at the second level at linebacker, I think they could do it there again. So it's kind of the needs and where this draft is deep and where it's not. The one thing I will say, the edge rusher class, I don't love it on day 2, but beyond that, it all kind of aligns with what the Dolphins need on their roster.
Braswell, is he?
I like him.
You like him? Bama
early
kid?
Second, though, it feels like.
Okay, early second. Okay, all right. Yeah, that would be it. All right, so they don't have a 3 or 4, so I'm not going to get into that. But just for fun, Chris, give me 1 or 2 third-day picks that, under the radar guys, because that's what they are there, that you love, that you think could be steals.
Chris Abrams-Drain, the corner from Missouri. I know his teammate Ennis Rakestraw is getting a lot more buzz, but I saw someone, and I think it's important, and really Kader Kohu has been kind of this guy for the Dolphins early on, but to have that little feisty nickel corner that can maybe play some safety, maybe play on the outside, Chris Abrams-Drain from Missouri is that type to me. There's so many in this class. How about wide receiver? What about Jermaine Burton? If the Dolphins do want to add a day 3 wide receiver, Alabama's Jermaine Burton, down the field, vertical speed, tracks it awesomely, but there's apparently some maturity or some off-the-field concerns. He's played at a bunch of different schools dating back to high school. I've talked to a couple of sources that said this is like a 2nd or a 3rd round talent who might be available 4th, 5th, even maybe the 6th round in this draft. And we know that when it comes to speed and getting down the field, McDaniel will kind of pound the table for that player. Another name that I just want to throw out here, being on this Miami radio show.
Hold on, let me add to your point right now. Not only will McDaniel be in love maybe with the talent, but Greer will take chances on
good point.
question guys. He's already done it over the last couple of years. He'll get rid of them quickly when they screw up, but he'll take a chance on a guy and he'll bring him in, and then he'll just have a short leash on the guy. Yep. And he'll say, yo, you know, we'll bring you in, we'll give you a chance, but if you screw up, you're out of here right away. And so he'll do that. So you hit on something there and he's Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, there's a couple of things there. So there's talent, there's Alabama, and there's trouble, and they will take those kind of chances at times. So,
and certainly without knowing all the details of what's up with Jermaine Burton's draft stock, it's hard for me to have a definitive thought on him, but just on the field, I certainly think he's at least a day 2 talent. And for as much as, you know, people want Xavier Worthy to go to the Dolphins in the first round, I would, just in terms of value, much rather have Jermaine Burton in like round 5 to, again, roll the dice there to see. The one other thing that I want to mention, a few sources have mentioned to me, watch out for Jatavian Sanders, the tight end from Texas, to Miami at some point in this draft. They signed Jonnu Smith, but Sanders is another one, very fast, was a big-time recruit, very athletic, move tight end where he's not going to be in line, but he can be in the slot. He can be in the backfield on one snap. Then he can be in line. I think the versatility, and like you're mentioning with the offensive lineman, the mobility and just the ease at which he gets in and out of his breaks, I think Mike McDaniel will like Jatavian Sanders quite a bit.
So what I'm trying to think, you know, if we're spitballing here and having some fun with this, if you move down for Jackson Powers into the back end of the 20s and you're able to get him and you get that extra third rounder,
yes,
boom,
there you go.
That's where Sanders would go, third round, right?
Yep, second, third round. That's where it kind of feels like he'll be picked.
Yeah. So that's what I'm figuring, that if you get that extra pick, a guy like Sanders could be an option, because you have Jonnu Smith signed for only a couple of years. So you kind of groom the other kid, and then, or you attack with 2 tight ends. If he's willing, if he's willing and able to make plays right away, then all of a sudden you've got 2 tight ends working the field. Jonnu Smith, I think, is going to be a big part of the offense.
For sure.
He's one of the 3 fastest tight ends in the NFL. That alone is going to get Mike McDaniel to use him, and he can actually catch the ball. So, you know, that's pretty good stuff. All right, Chris, what can people do to follow you, and what are you working on this week?
Just at Twitter, at Chris Trapasso. And then really my big thing, I posted my top 280 prospect big board at CBS. And then during the draft, if you, outside of following along with if they want to follow along with the NFL draft tracker at CBS, from the second round, Pete Prisco's on the grades the first round, but from the second round all the way through pick 257, Mr. Irrelevant, I'll be doing the live grades for every pick at CBS Sports. So follow that draft tracker during the draft Friday and Saturday.
Chris, you're a stud. Thank you, my brother. Enjoy Christmas week here in the NFL, my friend. We will catch up down the line. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
There you go, Chris Trapasso, man. Excellent work, and of course, great conversation. Get a little draft talk for you guys there, as promised. We told you we'd give you a bunch of draft talk this week. Manny Navarro will join us at noon. David Furones will join us at the top of the hour. He's next. At the bottom of hour number 2, Luke Easterling, Athlon Sports, is going to stop by and join us, so we'll have some fun with him. Welt and Rayom, when we talk about the finest law firm out there, Jeff Welt, Daniel Rayom, they are awesome. These are just 2 amazing people, not just great lawyers, but amazing people. And I know because I witnessed it firsthand when they brought Progressive to their knees. In fact, they got the guy that was representing Progressive fired because they made him look so incompetent. True story. Anyway, Jeff Welt is as cool as it gets. Big music guy, loves the Canes, loves the Dolphins. You can talk sports music with him. Daniel Rayom, you listen, walking into a courtroom and facing any judge ain't shit for that man. You know why? He's a stunt pilot. I'll be on his stunt plane in a couple of weeks. 954, yeah, we're going to film that. 954-966-4646. Bankruptcy, homeowner property damage, condo damage, criminal defense, business owner claims, commercial litigation, personal injury, all there for you. And the consultation is free. So if you have an issue and you don't know if you have a case, call. It is free. 954-966-4646, wherever you're at. Here in Florida, doesn't matter. They're in Hollywood, ready to take care of you. Welton Rayom, 954-966-4646. All right. Let's see. I see Joseph is in first on the roll call. Jamie Riyad in San Jose. Steven Gonzalez. Cosa Nostra, NorCal, Waken and Bacon out in Martinez, California. Hitting that like button. There you go. Giovanni Ray, Alexis, Mr. Carrillo, Joey LaSalle, One-Eyed Jack, Jonathan Cagle, Miles Deep, Kevin Rodriguez, Steve Chapman, John Padilla, Crypto Fins is checking in from New York City. Dude 67. Jay Gelfin is in the house. Crypto Fins. Giovanni Castelloni. Kyle Cockrell. Gordon Shumway. John Wayne's 45. Big O Crypto ramping up. Oh, yeah. The MACD is headed in a positive direction right now. We are about to pop, baby. We are about to pop. Telling you. Can't wait. This is going to pop. It's going to pop to 80, 90,000, 95,000. You will see. You will see. Big O, who's the Jaime Jaquez of the draft for the Dolphins? A guy that comes in immediately and contributes to winning. Latu. And get me or Rojo or whatever, Ruku in the second round if you want. Or in the first round, you want to move down and get a little Jackson Powers Johnson, do that. You want to take a Tyler Guyton or a Graham Barton, I'm good with that in the first. Lisa Rose, Alex is in New York. Hola, people. Nyborg is online today, representing all corporate time-stealing weasels. Gus 1388, Ray Varnicus, Josh Greenwell. Are we BPA or an obvious position? It's the beauty, bro. They get to fill a need with players that are worthy of being picked there. Eric says, Big O, I wrote you yesterday and told you Bitcoin was at 1,000. It was right. Right. You were right. 600. Yeah. No, I know. I it's all good, bro. No big deal. No big deal, my friend. Let's see what else. Think Blue Dodgers. Tiger Shark Tony. Chad is in the house. Coach AJ. Luis Benito, Stetson O. John Wayne says, I've been saying that for years, Big O. I don't know what, but whatever it is, all right. Rosendo is in. Pipe Man Slim, thank you, sir. Pipe Man Slim for the kind words. Frankie Fresco. Do you think minimum wage in California going to $20 an hour? Bro, you raise those prices, they raise the prices on what you're buying. It's not about that, bro. It's about the deficit. It's about what they do with our money and printing it over and over again. That's what's devaluing the dollar, bro. All that stuff is, all they do by raising wages is that they raise the prices of the product. And then guess what they're going to do after that? Then they're going to automate it, eliminate the employee, and never lower the prices. And they lowered everything on how they create what they're serving you. That's what's going to happen. It's all you're doing. It's because everything will be automated. Eventually, that's just kind of the way it goes. So eventually, you want to keep raising wages? Okay, so now the companies will now figure out a way to automate everything. And instead of having 100 employees or 150 employees running a McDonald's, they will have 20 employees running a McDonald's because all they got to do is hang around and make sure that the machine is working well and maybe just take the money. That's about it. You know? So it's a vicious cycle. You know, it's just stupidity. Doesn't matter what side it is. Doesn't matter if it's a donkey or an elephant. Doesn't matter if it's red or blue. They're all morons. They bury us either way. You know, the stupidity is those of you that choose a side and think that your side is smarter than the other. Both sides are stupid. Both sides bury us. Last two presidents, the one we got now and the last one, have printed $16 trillion. You think flooding our economy with $16 trillion more is going to increase the value of our dollar or decrease the value of our dollar? So it's just all a vicious cycle, dude. It doesn't matter what it is. I keep trying to tell you that. So you do what you want. You know, I see what's going on. It's all I can tell you. And choose American, not those stupid parties. Because they just don't know what the hell they're doing, except burying us. They know how to kill us. That's what they know how to do. Our number 2, and the one and only David Furones is next.
Oh, great. You have a doorbell camera. Now you have a front row seat to your house getting robbed.
They're breaking into my house!
Ooh, there goes the TV. I'm sure it'll turn up at the pawn shop.
No, not the TV!
Just because you can see them, that doesn't mean you can stop them. With Slogans, you get 24-hour monitoring, a free home security system, and professional installation. Plus, free doorbell camera, one that'll actually work for you.
Get out of my house! Get out of the house!
Call 1-800-ALARM-ME.
Jamming, I wanna jam it with you. Jamming, and I wanna like jamming too. Yo, this is Steve Marley, yo. And on May the 4th, I'll be in Immokalee at the Seminole Casino Hotel with the legendary Inner Circle. See? We see you there. Rastafari love. And I'm jamming with you, yeah. Jamming, yeah. And I'm jamming too, yeah.
Welton Rayom has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They're committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. Property damage claims to your home, business, or condo as a result of a hurricane. Welton Rayom can help. Water, mold, fire, smoke damage, Welton Rayom can help. Call 954-966-4646. The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website.
All rise, football fans, as the Welton Rayom Miami Dolphins report with David Furones is in session.
Welton Rayom has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They are committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. Here's Miami Dolphins insider David Furones.
All right, David, before I go with you, let me take care of a little business. Hey, Frank Piega, get the hell out of here. Sean, block his stupid ass. First of all, this is called the Big O Radio Show. I talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about, asshole. So if I want to talk about politics or I want to talk about crypto, music, entertainment, or sports, it's my fucking show, dude. You get the hell out of here. So I don't care, bro. I'm not here. I'm not put in a corner. I don't work for a corporation. I work for myself. So, too bad if you're a Democrat or Republican. I slam both. I don't care about either side. But I'm smart enough to tell you the stupidity of Democrats and the stupidity of Republicans. That's it. Your butt hurt. Don't listen, don't watch. Get out of here, bro. I don't give a shit. That's the problem with some of you. You think I get nervous or worried about it? I don't answer to nobody. I'm my own man. I've always been my own man. Even when I was on a radio station run by a corporation, I'm my own man. Frank, you're out of here, clown. This is my show, not yours. So if I want to slam Biden or Trump or anyone I want to slam, I'm going to slam them, including you, Frank. So
there you go, Big O. I second that.
Some asshole's going to come up and tell me what to talk about. Get the hell out of here, bro. You don't like it? Get out of here. You want great Dolphin information and heat and all that? I'll give it to you. Been doing it for 30 years. I talk about everything else. You don't like it, bro? Go find the segments and download them if you want. Hold it there. Let's go. Yeah, I mean,
last night, we're watching the Big O.
Like they think they're gonna run your show and I'm here for sports. Well, screw you, bro. I'm here to talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about. And if I want to talk about my foot operation, I'll talk about my foot operation. If I want to talk about my diet, I'm gonna talk about my diet. Too fucking bad, bro. The hell are you, Frank? There's one rule on this show, bro. Don't tell the host what to do. Okay? That's not going to end well for you. I'm 57 and I'm my own man. I don't need to answer to anybody. Not to you, Frank. Clown. All right, let's go. How you feeling, bro? Good?
I'm doing all right. I'm feeling I think I'm feeling a little bit better than you, but I think you're feeling pretty good after you got that round off your chest.
I love unloading on these assholes who think like, it's like, bro, I've been working at this for 34 years. You think I worry about people like you? I don't care, bro. You don't want to follow me? Go ahead. Get lost. I don't care. It's like some other. It's like I'm not here to compete with anybody. What I do, nobody does. We're a full talk show. We're not just one sport or whatever. We're a full talk show. So I'm not here to compete with anybody. Either you accept who I am and how I talk about things and maybe enlighten your ass on a lot of things. But if you don't want to because you're closed-minded, I can't help you, dude. I can't help you. So, it's just typical of these kind of people, bro. Anyway. All right, bro. So
it's a Twitter way also. You see it on Twitter all the time. People just comment. I cover the Dolphins, but if I want to go, if I'm tweeting NBA playoffs because I'm watching it on a given night, if I want to tweet a messy goal, anything else. Yeah.
You're the football guy.
Right. Yeah. Stick to football, bro.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah, dude. Yeah, because that's all I know. Yes, exactly. Thank you. Fantastic. It's just that they do the same thing to me in crypto, and it's like, yo, bro, my portfolio is up 60%. The hell are you talking about? Yeah, I actually do know what the hell I'm talking about, but whatever. Let's get into a couple pre-draft things that are, and it's all Tyreek involved. First of all, on this podcast, where he talked about Mike McDaniel calling him out. You heard the soundbite, right?
Yeah. That he appreciated it, and that he feels it makes him better and all that. Mm-hmm.
What'd you think of all that?
Good on Mike McDaniel, because I think sometimes people see him from the outside and think, oh, does he actually go and talk to his star players and get it into their ass and chew them out? And so good on him that we know that he does. I think that he did that. I mean, I know a lot of people see him for the jokes he makes, and we love him for that in the media. But during his press conferences and stuff. But at his core, he is still a football coach. So that's number one, his responsibility, and good on him to go ahead and even give it to the star player, and that sets a precedent for anyone else on the team that hey, Tyreek Hill can get it, and so can you.
Yeah. Well, no, and for me, that's what I loved about it, is that Mike is going to call people up, because I've heard that behind the scenes, he actually does take his own mistakes hard. He does mother F players, but we don't see that. But again, that's kind of like, Chris Greer, I'm sure he may have some disagreements or something, but publicly, you probably will never see him say anything bad about anybody because that's just not his style. And McDaniel publicly, like Spo, I'm sure Spo behind the scenes rips into people all the time because that's kind of been known that he will do that. But publicly, will Spo ever rip a player? No, he'll never rip a player. No matter what, he'll just, he'll PC work through it. You've been on that beat too, and so it's just the way but it's great. Now on the flip side, for me on the Tyreek thing, it kind of like for me, Tyreek now is the Peanuts teacher. Womp 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 womp. It's all just white noise. I was talking about it, and yesterday. It's just white noise. It's just blank noise that I hear coming from him now. I just don't want to hear anymore. Oh, I'm going to be a terror to the Kansas City Chiefs this week. That boom, boom. And he's the reason why they lost the game in that first Kansas City game. Mike McDaniel may be ripping him for the second game, but the first game, Tyreek lost all by himself, pretty much dropping the bomb, which would have been points, 3 or 7. And the fumble, which was 7 points, he pretty much gave the game away himself, that week. And then to tell me, I got to be better and all that. And, he told the other podcast, I got to be better off the field and all that. We've heard all of this, bro. Talk is cheap. It's time to put up or shut up. Like I put out a few weeks ago. This is his last year here. They didn't ask for any money. They sent pretty much this message was sent this offseason. You're not, he wants Tua to change. Well, Tua didn't use him in Hawaii. He went with Teron and Jalen Ramsey. Okay. I don't see Tyreek being a part of a lot of other guys' camps and all that kind of stuff. It's been kind of a quiet thing. They needed money badly in the offseason. They didn't even go to him. Message has been sent. He's on double secret probation. And over this next year, if he wants to play another year with them, he's going to have to be on his best behavior. So for me, that's where I'm at with Tyreek. It's like, dude, I know you're a hell of a player. How about dropping the baggage finally? You know what I'm saying? So like the talk is cheap. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I do like that he takes the coaching seriously. So that he does go out and say publicly, yeah, I mean, I need to be better. I took that to myself and that I need to improve and I need to show out for this team based on that. And he always seems to take accountability publicly. So we hear him in his press conferences. And I remember coming back from the bye last November when he got married. And then he was saying all this about, I'm going to be a changed man and this and that. And then now a lot of the stuff that we found out later, the paternity suits and the lawsuit with the Instagram model, that we know that stuff actually occurred before that. So he was coming off of it and then saying, okay, then we start finding out what those things were, what those incidents were that he was talking about that he's going to change his ways from. But then he still had incidents that came after that, like the whole dispute over his divorce, alleged divorce, and then he's saying he never tried to do, and then the flicking of the unlit cigar and all this. The police had to be called to his house, and so that was after that. And then we have him saying again, sort of all these things. It almost feels like a broken record. He keeps saying these things, but then the incidents keep popping up. So, yeah, it's time to make it action instead of words that you want to hear from Tyreek as far as off the field. And then I think this draft will be telling if the Dolphins do take a wide receiver earlier than expected, because we look at wide receiver for, okay, the Dolphins need a wide receiver 3. They've offered Odell Beckham so he could be that third wide receiver after Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. But we look at their draft needs as, okay, in the trenches, O-line, D-line, edge defender, because there's questions about Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb coming off their injuries. But if they end up going receiver earlier than expected, and it's not just for that wide receiver 3, then that could be that contingency plan for going forward of, all right, now this is the guy we're pairing with Jalen Waddle in the future, and his rookie year, he's going to be the wide receiver 3 behind Tyreek and Jalen. But then future, it's going to be Jalen Waddle and insert whoever is that drafted receiver. So that could be interesting if we do see that Thursday or Friday night.
I would be that, that I just want him to kind of cut all the bullshit out and maybe focus on everything here. And then maybe, here's the other thing that came out today. He was insulted that Kansas City gave Pacheco the number 10 number. Did you see that one?
I didn't see that one, but it was funny because I always thought, I see number 10, and I'm like, wait, Tyreek Hill? No, wait, he's on the Dolphins now. What's going on? Oh, that's Pacheco now.
So let me read it. Let me read you the quote. I have it here because I was going to talk about it later, but I figure I'd bring it up with you because he felt disrespected, is what he said. He goes, Kansas City got a really good running back. He's a dog. You can hear and see every step he takes. He runs so hard. He told the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast. I did feel disrespected when they gave him the 10, though. I didn't like that. There's only 110 now. There should only be 110 in your heart. See, and here's my problem with today's athlete, because it's not a Tyreek thing. This is today's athlete. Dude, you were there for 6 years. You weren't there for a career. 6 years is not a career, And by the way, just for fun, in 6 years, ready? 1239 and 9, 1276 and 15, 860 and 7, 1479 and 12, 1183 and 7, 593 and 6. Those are yards and touchdowns. 2 years in Miami. 1799, 13, 1710, 7. Brother, you're building a better legacy here than you were there, actually, to be quite honest. But again, in 6 of your years, 2 of them, you got 860 and 593. Your first year and your 4th year, where you only played 12 games. So you have 2 of your 4 years that were substandard years as it is. How do you expect them to retire or put the 10 like, yeah, you won a title, big deal. You weren't there for a whole lifetime. You weren't there for like 10 or 11 or 12 years, and then you went somewhere else for your final year or 2 and then retired or whatever. No, then I can understand. But 6 years and really only 4 dynamic years out of the 6, we're supposed to like retire your number? Again, kind of like Frank Piega. Un descaro.
You have him by name and everything. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. 6 years. I mean, I'm thinking in football terms, that's more than in other sports. And now I do think of like Chris Bosh with the Miami Heat. His number, it hangs in the rafters at what is now Kaseya Center. So, and he ended up, he was there for the 4 of the big 3, and then he had the blood clot starting the next couple of seasons. So kind of like 6-ish. So I'm just thinking of a comparison. It was 6 Pro Bowl seasons, all of them for Tyreek Hill. I know he had early on it was as a returner, and then an elite receiver, and then obviously things ended the way they did. Now, Chris Bosh, things ended on good terms between him and the organization. Just he had the health concerns with the blood clots. He would have been with the Heat much longer had it not been for that. Tyreek Hill, he was looking for his money, and then he ends up getting a trade so that he could get paid the highest wide receiver salary with another organization. Dolphins were willing to pay, so that's how he ends up here. So, different terms that they leave their organizations on, and then the Chiefs, they go and they win 2 Super Bowls back-to-back once he's out of there, and they have another number 10. So now Tyreek Hill was there for a lot of playoff wins, a lot of playoff runs, and 1 Super Bowl that was won at Hard Rock Stadium. But it's kind of a fringe on the border legacy for Tyreek Hill in Kansas City as far as
without you. They won 2 without you. You left
Right,
and they kept winning.
Now they had to make the decision on the jersey before winning those Super Bowls. So they did allow it before they had access to that information. But it is telling then to go and win back-to-back Super Bowls after that, which I know he talked about as well, that bothered him a little, or it bothered him a little bit at first, and then that he was able to eventually get over and really honestly wholeheartedly congratulate his former teammates.
You're a piece. You're not the most important piece. You're not the reason. Yeah. You just helped along the way like all the others. But we all know the reasons why you're winning. It's because of Brett Veach. It's because of the head coach and because of the quarterback. That's it. It's your front office, your head coach, and the quarterback, and Chris Jones. Those are the reasons why the Kansas City Chiefs are the Kansas City Chiefs, bro. You have a Mahomes and a Chris Jones. You have an Andy Reid, bro. Are you kidding me? I mean, those are centerpieces. Everything else is interchangeable.
As far as the pass catchers, he was felt to be number 2 to tight end Travis Kelce. As far as what the Chiefs had in Travis Kelce at tight end, they deemed less replaceable anywhere else than replacing Tyreek Hill at wide receiver. Granted, they have all these ops and everything going on, and the wide receiver core hasn't been as strong in Kansas City since he left, but Patrick Mahomes still finds a way. He gets out of these midseason ruts with those guys, ends up pulling them up from their bootstraps and taking them to Super Bowls back-to-back seasons. So it's just more credit to him as a quarterback.
Yeah. All right. So where are you leaning now in the first round?
Yeah, I mean, I made my prediction in Sun Sentinel, and I'm sticking with it. Graham Barton, I like as an interior offensive lineman who can maybe then in the future move to tackle once you don't have Teron Armstead. I know we've thrown out whether it could be Austin Jackson going to left tackle, going back there, and then maybe whoever you bring in is a right tackle later, or if it's just straight up going to left tackle. He has the positional versatility that he can play all 5 on the line. I think he's a good athlete that would bode well for Mike McDaniel's outside zone run blocking scheme. So I like him from those standpoints. And if it's a trade down scenario where you have him and Jackson Powers Johnson, and even if one of the D tackles is there, and you just and some of the other offensive tackles are around, and you just have a lot of guys that you like, I would love a trade down scenario to also add a 3rd round pick. But if a lot of the guys that you're targeting are off the board, and I know Barton has also been creeping up some draft boards, so then maybe if you want him, you do have to take him there. But all that said, if Latu is there, if Byron Murphy is there, if Jared Verse would be there, which I don't think he would be, Latu would be more realistic, then you probably just have to jump on that and then just take them as best player available, which also fills a position of need at 21.
Follow him on Twitter at David Furones. Make sure you call my friends at Welt and Rayom at 954-966-4646. Consultation is completely free. They can help you with personal injury, bankruptcy, homeowner property damage, condo damage, criminal defense, business owner claims, commercial litigation. They do it all. 954-966-4646. And subscribe to the Sun Sentinel and follow my man David Furones there. David, we will catch up on Friday. We'll get your thoughts on the Dolphins' first round pick on Friday, my friend. Have a terrific one. Appreciate you.
Excellent. Sounds great. Thank you.
You got it. There you go. David Furones with our Welt and Rayom Miami Dolphins report.
This has been another session of the Welt and Rayom Miami Dolphins Report with David Furones. At Welt and Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. They handle complex personal injury claims caused by the fault of another in both state and federal courts. They handle auto, trucking, motorcycle slip and fall, and bicycle accidents. Call 954-966-4646. Welt and Rayom can help.
They can help. They're ass kickers. Jesus, they are ass kickers. Luke Easterling will join us from Athlon Sports in a few minutes. Manny Navarro will join us at the top of the hour. Talk a little Canes. And by the way, we do want to remind you, Cutter's Edge Pro is a proud sponsor of our program. We love talking about William Quigley and the great people at Cutter's Edge Pro, Mike, everybody. Mike is a freakish designer. He walks onto your property, HOA complex, business, home, looks around, and already in his mind, it's like working. I'll put that there, I'll put this there, I'll put it there. And they design. I mean, it's a work of art, actually. And by the way, it's not just designing and building, it's also maintenance. You know, a lot of people out there, you may have some landscaping, but it's not kept up and you need some maintenance, we all need help, man. A lot of us don't have the green thumb. Call the people at Cutter's Edge Pro. They've got over 70 trucks. Dade, Broward, Palm Beach counties, 954-472-0622. Tree trimming and removals. Remember, we're starting to get closer to hurricane season. We're only a couple months away. You want to start clearing out. And listen, I don't want you getting on roofs and ladders, and you're getting close to sometimes some of you that live where you have power lines and all. Let the pros do it. Okay, so that way you don't get injured. And by the way, they're fully insured. So that way, if anybody gets hurt on your property, they're not suing you. They're fully insured. You know. By the way, if just out of curiosity, if you don't hire Cutter's Edge Pro, whenever you do hire somebody to work at your home, no matter who it is, you better make sure that they're fully insured. And they better prove it to you before they start working your home, because if they're not fully insured and one of their workers gets injured in your property, do you know they can sue you? Yeah. So it's strange. But these workers, they know the laws better than you do. Just telling you. So you got to hire responsible people like Cutter's Edge Pro. All right, 954-472-0622. Landscape design, outdoor lighting, irrigation, synthetic turf. If you own dogs like I do, the synthetic turf is the greatest invention of mankind. 30 seconds. We talk a little NFL draft with my man Luke Easterling from Athlon Sports. NFL draft analyst is next.
When presenting an award to an employee, athlete, executive, or fantasy GM, make sure you call Orvieto's Awards and More. For 35 years, these custom award specialists have been providing plaques, trophies, custom framing, while providing state-of-the-art laser and computerized engraving, UV printing, and glass crystal etching. They do all their engraving and printing in-house for quality control. Call Charles at 305-949-8098 or visit them at orvietosawards.com. Orvieto's Awards and More, where recognition is rewarding.
All right, we're back. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend that is Luke. How you doing, baby? Feeling good?
I'm doing great, Big O. How are you, brother?
Good, man. Can't complain. We normally do it through phones, but now, now we get to do video and audio and all that good stuff. So world has changed, and I appreciate you taking some time to talk a little draft. Let's get into it with the Dolphins, man. They pick at 20. Well, you know what? Before the Dolphins, I want to get your feel on the whole quarterback thing, because everybody's got different opinions on everything going on. And I'm more of a Drake May guy as my number 2, not Daniels, but a lot of people like Daniels. Some people don't think that JJ McCarthy should be taken so high. Or Michael Penix or that kind of stuff. So talk to me, first of all. Miami has nothing to do with quarterbacks or anything like that. But just because quarterback is such a hot topic, how are you viewing the talk of how many quarterbacks? Because in a way, it does affect Miami because they're rooting for
as many as possible. Yeah.
If you take it before 21. So, Luke, walk me through the way you're seeing the quarterback stuff, first of all.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Caleb Williams at 1. I think at 2, you could have a fun conversation about Daniels or May, and I'm fine with either of them, depending on your team, depending on the fit, and again, what happens behind the scenes, how comfortable you feel with the player and the person. If either of those guys go ahead of the other, I don't really see a problem with that. I think those 3 guys.
I define what you're saying. If your offense needs more of a pocket guy, you're going to go May. If Probably. You're going to be running more what's it called,
RPOs and stuff,
yeah, exactly, RPOs and boots and waggles and all that, then you're going to go with Daniels instead. Is that kind of what you're looking at?
I think to a certain extent, but what I don't want to do is undersell the pocket passing ability of Daniels or the athleticism of Drake May, because I think it's too easy to get in this like, oh, Jaden Daniels is really fast, so he's a running quarterback who can kind of throw, and Drake May is, the prototypical can stand in the pocket and deliver the ball, and maybe every now and then he'll escape for a few yards. And the film can say that to a little, to some extent, but really, if you dive deep into it, the reason that Jaden Daniels is even in this conversation at all is because of the growth he made as a pocket passer last season. Because he went from a guy who was just really fast and could run a lot of the time, and every now and then he could throw a good pass at Arizona State, to a complete player last year. He threw the ball as well as anybody from the pocket last year. He's making full field reads. He's going from 1 to 2 to 3. All these people that say he's a one read, I don't see that. That's not what I see on film. So, and I think, again, Drake May is a better athlete than he gets credit for too. So I don't know that it's specific to, if you want a guy to run more often, take Daniels. And if you want a guy to stay in the pocket all the time, it's Drake May. I don't think it's quite that simple. I think it's a lot more about getting him in the room, getting them on the whiteboard, and your scheme matching up to what he does well in terms of processing, in terms of the plays he likes to run. And again, the human being, as he fits in your locker room and all that, that's the stuff that I think will matter more than athleticism versus pocket passing, if that makes sense.
Okay. So how many do you expect to go in the first round?
I think all 6 of those top guys end up in the first round. It's just too important. And again, not all of them are going to pan out. History tells us that, right? But the way it's going to go, I think the top 3 guys go top 3 that we just mentioned. McCarthy is kind of the wild card, right? So in terms of the way I rank these guys, which is completely different, obviously, than the way it'll happen on draft day for these teams, but all 3 of those top 3 guys that we mentioned are in my top 10 overall players, right? So they're top 10 players, and I expect them to go 1, 2, 3. The next quarterback on my board is Michael Penix Jr. at 28.
Okay.
So he's a high second round grade for me at number 28 overall. McCarthy is at 30. So those 2 guys are barely outside the first round grades for me. I understand why they'll go in the first round, but then after those guys, Bo Nix and Spencer Rattler are like right next to each other in the 60s. So like down towards the bottom of the second round. So that just gives you an idea of how I view the quarterbacks. I expect J.J. McCarthy to be a top 10 pick anyway. I think that Bo Nix would be a really great fit in Denver, especially if they move back from 12. I think Michael Penix Jr. in Vegas would make a ton of sense, not necessarily at 13, maybe, but I think they could go tackle there and then maybe try to trade back into the late part of the first round to get Penix there. But I think when all is said and done, I think those 6 guys all come off the board in the first round somewhere.
Luke, is there a sleeper quarterback than, a second, third day guy that you think, like, you know what, this guy aren't a lot of people aren't talking about him. He's raw as hell, but maybe is there somebody out there you kind of like?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned Spencer Rattler earlier. I think he might go a little higher than people think, just because I think all the physical tools are there, and I think mentally he's a much tougher player now than the guy we saw in the Netflix documentaries when he was a kid, right? I think he came out, and he'd be the first one to admit this. He was cocky, he was brash, and then he got humbled real quick at Oklahoma, right? He came out, he was number 1 overall pick as a freshman, right? We were like, oh, he's the guy. And Caleb Williams says, not so fast, my friend. And he ends up being humbled and going to South Carolina, having to transfer and having to work his way back up again. And he still played some damn good football at South Carolina. And so I think he's kind of been the lost guy. I don't really see a huge gap between a guy like Bo Nix and a guy like Spencer Rattler. I'd love to see Spencer Rattler land in with the Rams, where he could sit behind, Matt Stafford and then work with that Sean McVay offense. Right. I think he would be a fantastic fit there. But the other guys I'll mention, I think Michael Pratt from Tulane is a mid-round guy that I think teams will really, really like. Doesn't have the high-end physical traits, but I think mentally, in terms of his processing and accuracy and efficiency, I think he'd be a good fit somewhere as a future starter. The 2 guys that I'm keeping my eye on in terms of developmental quarterbacks, guys maybe day 3 where you're taking a flyer. Joe Milton III out of Tennessee, huge, great athlete, probably the best pure arm strength in the entire draft, just doesn't really know what to do with it yet and needs to figure that part out. So a great developmental guy. And a guy that nobody's really talking about, Davius Richard from North Carolina Central, is the deep sleeper to me. He had a really unfortunate, he broke his ankle or broke his foot in one of the All-Star games, after the season, which was a real bummer because we didn't get to see him work out. But go back and watch the tape. Davius Richard, he's got prototypical size. He's a great athlete, great arm strength. He's another guy on day 3 that I'd feel great about spending a 5th or 6th round pick and just letting him get in the building and develop.
I say that. I only ask that because that's where they could go to give competition to their backup quarterback. So that's a place where I think the Dolphins could go in the third day is something like that. That's why I asked.
Everybody should. Everybody should, first of all. Take a day 3 quarterback every year.
I agree. I totally agree. I hated the rules and how they've gone to the 2-man quarterback roster. Now I think it looks like it's going back to 3.
We never would have had Tom Brady. He was a 4th-string quarterback. It never would have happened.
Dude, I grew up that most teams had 3 to 4 quarterbacks on the roster most of the time because it behooved you. It's exactly what you said. Dude, take a quarterback late every freaking year. Work on you might end up with Tom Brady.
Even if you trade him, even if you already have a starter, you develop a guy that becomes valuable and you can trade him.
I tell the story all the time. Ron Wolf in one offseason had Brett Favre, had Aaron Brooks, had Mark Brunell, and some dude named Kurt Warner. And he cut him.
Not bad.
Yeah, he cut him because he had too many quarterbacks and Kurt was still raw and he went to the Arena League and then he went to the Rams and the rest is history. But then he goes and trades Brunell to Jacksonville. He trades Aaron Brooks to New Orleans and he fucking drafts Hasselbeck.
Always. What could you get on day 3 that's more valuable than a potential starting quarterback?
And then he trades Hasselbeck.
Yep. Just keep doing it.
And then he leaves, and then Thompson comes in. He drafts Aaron Rodgers, and the rest is history. And and they've been so forward thinking on this with the whole Jordan Love thing. They get it in Green Bay for many years, and it started with Ron Wolf. And I have no idea if you're watching that man do that. How does everybody not say, yeah, that's how you do it.
Right.
We need to do it that way. You know what I'm saying?
I agree, man.
Every year you should be drafting a third-day quarterback, unless your guy in the back is so good that you're like, no, well, we gotta trade this guy first before we draft another guy.
Right.
It's crazy. All right, so I've talked about this with many other guys, and I'll do the same thing with you. It's kind of a perfect storm. You never want to draft for need. But the Dolphins at 21 happen to be in a position where there's going to funnel linemen that are O linemen or D linemen, either a defensive tackle where you lost Wilkins or a pass rusher where you kind of need until you get Chubb and Phillips completely back. Right. You did sign Shaq Barrett, and that's going to help a little bit, but you probably need to draft another guy somewhere. So, Luke, tell me a little bit about what you see at 21 for Miami. First of all, at offensive line, what's realistic for them at 21?
Yeah, I mean, you never want to reach for need, but you would really like the board to fall to where your needs, meet the value, right? That's what the dream is on, especially in the early rounds. But no, I think they're in a great spot. I think, like you mentioned, offensive line. We'll start with offensive line, like you said, and whether they want a tackle to give them kind of long-term insurance behind Teron Armstead, who again is getting a bit older and he's struggled with injury. So you want to have a long-term solution at left tackle. You don't really want to miss out on anything there. Whether they need an interior guy. I look at a guy like Graham Barton out of Duke, who I'm sure Dolphins fans are very familiar with at this point, can play all 5 positions. He played left tackle. He can play center. He can play guard. So he's a guy that you can just kind of plug in anywhere. And I think he'll be on the board in that range. I think Pittsburgh could take him at 20. I think he'd fit there as well because they have similar needs across the offensive line. But if he's there, I think Miami should think long and hard about that. And then after that, there's a lot of right tackles that'll be available in that range. So it would be about whether or not they feel comfortable with whoever that is, whether it's J.C. Latham from Alabama or Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma or Talise Fuaga from Oregon State. I think he'll be gone. But Amarius Mims from Georgia. Amarius Mims, I think, is the most interesting one because he played right tackle at Georgia, but he played very little. I mean, he was a first-year starter last year and missed half the season with an ankle injury, but he's just massive and athletic and long, and so you've got all the physical tools are there. So with him, I think he's the guy at 21 where I would say, hey, that's a perfect guy to bring in, sit him behind Teron Armstead for a year, let him develop and learn how to play left tackle if that's what we need, and then we insert him into the starting lineup after a year.
Although I keep injecting this, I think Austin Jackson is your left tackle.
And again, if that's the case, that's where interior,
the young guy plays guard this year, and then next year when Teron leaves, you move Austin Jackson over because he's super athletic,
right?
And his confidence now is soaring because he now has the coaching, and I think he can play left tackle. I really do now. Even though it didn't go well for him early, but that's because he didn't have the foundation. He wasn't physically there.
It shouldn't go well for anybody early, really. That's a hard position to play.
That is very true. But he can do it. Hell, dude, he was pulling 30, 40 yards downfield last year. I mean, this guy's athletic as hell. And then what you do with the youngin that you draft, he plays guard this year for now because you kind of need the help there.
Yeah.
And then next year when Teron leaves, you pop Jackson to the left, and the young kid in his second year goes to right tackle.
That in that scenario, I would love to see J.C. Latham there because he is huge, and I think he would play guard really, really well right away, and then he could bounce right to right tackle, which is where he's been at Alabama, and that would be pretty seamless. So I think in that scenario, he would probably be the best fit, and I think it's possible that he gets there. Obviously, you want as many quarterbacks, as many receivers and stuff to go ahead of them to push those tackles down the board. But I think that would be a great fit in your scenario.
Yeah, I think so. All right, now I'm pass rusher. Dude, I love Jared Verse. Unless, we can sneak a crack pipe in front of him like they did with the offensive lineman, then maybe he'll fall to 21.
No gas mask situation for Jared Verse, hopefully.
You tell me, because some people think Verse will be there at 21. I don't, so I'm kind of leaning more. I love Latu. But you tell me, what do you like, Luke, at 21? What do you think fits what the Dolphins do, and what do you think is a good pick or realistically at 21 on the pass rushing side?
Yeah, I think Dallas Turner, Latu, and Verse are all gone. I just don't see it. Really? Even Latu, I know he's an older player. He's 23, 24. I know he's got the injury history, from earlier in his career at Washington, but he's been able to stay healthy, and he is the best pure pass rusher in this draft off the edge in terms of technique, in terms of effectiveness and preparation mentally and physically. Like, he is a complete player, and he knows what he's doing. Like, he's not coming in with that raw rookie, I have all these physical traits, I just don't know how to use them. That's not Latu at all. He knows what he's doing. And I don't see a guy like that staying on the board that long. I can't see him getting past so many teams in the teens who need that type of player. And Verse very similarly, right, where he's just so polished, such a complete player against the run. He can rush with power. He can rush with speed. He's got production. So did Latu. Those three guys, and again, Dallas Turner with his athleticism and upside, I think he's long gone too. So I think at 21, you're talking about Chop Robinson from Penn State.
Okay. Good player.
And that becomes way more of a projection, right? Because you're talking about elite athlete, elite explosiveness, but just very little production and very little finishing, right? Very little translating that athletic ability into actual production and actual finishing a sack and seeing that produce. So it's just so much more of a projection with him. Obviously, the upside is there. There's a ton of upside with those kind of physical abilities. But
the only thing I like Chop Robinson, I like his potential, but in the Dolphins scenario,
that's right.
It doesn't make sense. You need Latu or Verse more because they will transition faster, and you actually need a transitioning player at the pass rushing position a lot faster because of Phillips and Chubb's situation. You need somebody. You cannot have more of a – that's why Chop, while I like him, I don't think it fits what the Dolphins will do because he's more of a project for a year or two, and you don't have time for that right now. Your window's now. Chop doesn't fit your window now. That's the only thing I don't like.
And
I
again,
I don't like the situation.
Right. And also he's really, I think his rookie year, he's a sub package guy. I think he's a third down rusher because he's not great against the run. He's not a biggest guy in the world. And I think he's still learning how to set the edge against the run. And so again, a lot to work with there, but you're going to have to work with it. It's going to take some work and some time. And like you said, I think in Miami's scenario,
you're Kansas City. You can do that at that spot.
Or if you're a team on the other side, right, where you're 2 or 3 years away, and so you're planning for that anyway. You can take a guy like that. But yeah, I think for Miami, And again, that I think will lead us to the interior, right? If they're going to go defensive front, that's where I think it makes the most sense, because I think Byron Murphy's probably off the board by then.
Okay.
But I think it becomes Johnny Newton from Illinois, who, to me, he is a top 10 player in this draft overall. I think he is one of the best. I think he might actually be the top defensive player on my board, period. And so the big question with him is the Jones fracture, right? He's got a foot injury. He had surgery. Is he going to come back from that? How easy is it to re-aggravate that injury? I know there's going to be some concern there. Maybe he's a little undersized, but man, when you turn on the tape, you want to see a game record. You want to see the guy that if I had to replace Christian Wilkins, I would look at that guy's tape and say, that's the guy. He can do that. That's what Newton did at Illinois. And I think if he was there at 21, that would be an easy pick for me if I'm Miami, because I just think it fills their biggest immediate need on defense, and I think the value is great.
I think Newton actually has better pass rushing skills than Wilkins.
I think Wilkins might be the better run stuffer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's bigger. He's got the bigger frame, so that helps. But I agree with you, man. Newton is such a polished pass rusher, man, and he's nasty. He's a violent dude. Like he's the type of guy that nobody wants to line up against. It's just it's going to be a long day, and that's the kind of guys you want on your side.
Okay, second round now, or where they're at. Again, it kind of
it's the inverse, right? Whatever they don't get in the first round.
Yeah, because and this is kind of why I like the linemen. I think, unless Verse or Latu fall to you at 21, which I freaking love those guys. But if you do get a lineman, I've noticed that the defensive tackles in that part of the draft might you might have an option there.
Yep.
Also a defensive tackle. So talk to me either about defensive tackle, pass rusher, linebacker, offensive lineman. I think those are areas where you might be able to fill at that spot.
Yeah, I think so too. I think particularly along the defensive line, if they don't go Newton at 21, maybe they go offensive line. I like Chris Jenkins out of Michigan. Obviously, his dad was a very good player for Carolina for a long, long time at defensive tackle. Oh yeah, that's right, he did. Yeah, so that you could bring that home with Chris Jenkins. I love him. Braden Fisk, if he's still on the board, I don't know that he'll make it that far out of Florida State. He's a guy that honestly I think compares very well to Christian Wilkins. Very similar frame, similar athletes. Had great production at Florida State. I think those two guys I would love to see. Michael Hall Jr., if they're okay with a little bit more of an undersized guy at defensive tackle out of Ohio State. I like him a lot. In terms of edge rushers, Chris Braswell out of Alabama, Adisa Isaac out of Penn State are two guys that I think on the back half of the second round would make a lot of sense to them. Linebacker is going to be, I think, a sweet spot there in the mid to late second round. I don't think we'll have any linebackers off the board probably in the top 40 or so. And then you start to talk about Edgerrin Cooper from Texas A&M, who I love, Junior Colson from Michigan, who I love, Peyton Wilson from North Carolina State, if they're okay with the medicals, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Man, there's so many. How many guys in this class do I have to say junior afterwards, and then the gray hair just continues to grow because I watched their entire father's careers? Frank Gore Jr., Marvin Harrison Jr., Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Brendan Rice, Jerry Rice's son, is in this draft.
Chris Jenkins.
It's in ridiculous. Chris Jenkins. There's so many. I can't deal with it. I can't.
Yeah, no, trust me. I'm like you, a little older, so I've seen
Look at that picture of me. It's a great reminder of how old I've gotten. Look at this.
The father, the son, and then the grandson. I'm already at the grandson part.
I can't wait for Frank Gore III here.
Yeah. So I'm already at the grandson part at times. So yeah, it's crazy. I've gone through it myself, man. All right, so Luke, we'll close it out with this. Give me a sleeper in the third day that you're thinking about, whatever it is, any position out there that you're like, this is a guy I love in the third day because of this. Who is it?
All right, so I'll give you a few because I love these questions, right? And the first pick is a homer pick because I went to the University of South Florida, and I love Donovan Jennings. He's an offensive lineman out of USF. He can play guard. He can play tackle. He's a great athlete, had a phenomenal pro day down here in Tampa. And again, just an experienced guy. Again, played a ton of snaps, has a ton of starts under his belt, and can play multiple positions. I think somebody's going to be really happy on day 3 when they get Donovan Jennings. Bo Braid is a safety out of Maryland who I really, really like. I think he's a top 5 safety in this class. I think I'm in the minority when it comes to ranking him that high. But he's just a hard-hitting guy, great athlete. He can play in the box. He can play single high. He can do a lot of things. And then I look at the running back class, because I think the running back class is very interesting in that there's not the top heaviness that we saw last year with Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs, the guys in the top. But I see a big group of those guys in the third or fourth round. So if I see a guy like Audric Estime still on the board in the fourth round, I'd love to see him in a place where we'll take advantage of his power and his explosiveness between the tackles. A little bit of a deeper sleeper there. I like Isaiah Davis from South Dakota State, another power guy between the tackles who can also be explosive. He ran against so many closed boxes, so many loaded boxes in college, and still churned out a ton of yards. So he's a guy that I think could be a really great complementary back. If you've got kind of like a lightning guy, an explosive guy in your backfield, and you add a guy like Estime or Isaiah Davis as the power back, I think you'll be really happy on day 3.
That's interesting that you mentioned power back, because that's something they drafted last year, Chris Brooks, and right. I like him a lot, actually. He's got great vision, which blew me away. I was actually disappointed they didn't use him a lot, because I thought they needed a little thunder, because, Mostert and Achane, that's a lot of lightning.
You got all the lightning you need.
All the lightning you need. So you need some thunder. And I thought they would use Chris Brooks. So maybe they bring in somebody like that in their third-day picks to give Brooks a little competition, because I think the power back is one area where Miami needed to improve and dedicate themselves a little bit more to the short yardage game.
Yeah, I completely agree. Again, but either of those guys on day 3 would make a ton of sense. There's just that's the fun part of the draft to me. Once you get into those later rounds and you can find those gems that end up making a big impact. We've seen it with Isaiah Pacheco and Puka Nacua in recent years. You can find guys that can make an immediate impact if you know what you're looking for and how they fit with your scheme and team. That being able to find guys on day 3 that make an immediate impact tells me that a team knows exactly what their identity is, and they can identify guys that fit the culture, fit the scheme, fit the locker room, because that's how you make that impact so quickly.
Luke, if people want to keep up with you over at Athlon Sports, what do they got to do, man?
Yeah, come over to athlonsports.com. We've got, I just dropped a new 4-round mock draft just this morning. So you can see that over there right now. I've got all my positional rankings up. I got my big board up. So all of the rankings, all the top 300 players in the entire draft. So we go well beyond the 250 or so that are going to actually get drafted. I've got them broken down by position as well. If you haven't already, go pick up our draft guide. I know a lot of people out there have been reading those for years. So I got to be heavily involved in making this year's magazine, which I absolutely love. So go buy one of those. And again, come on over to Twitter, X, whatever the hell they're calling it now. And follow me at Luke Easterling. Let's talk some NFL draft.
Luke, as always, man, great stuff, my brother. Appreciate you immensely. We'll catch up down the line, my friend. Have enjoy Christmas in the NFL this week.
Thanks, man. Can't wait for it, and can't wait to sleep for like a month after I'm done.
Amen. Thank you, my brother. Appreciate it.
Take care, man.
You got it. There you go. Luke Easterling, man. Athlon Sports, talking little NFL draft, as we promised that we would talk a little NFL draft. We had Tony Pauline and Charles Davis yesterday, Chris Trapasso today, Luke Easterling today. Tomorrow, Kyle Krabs, Jeremy Fowler from ESPN will join us. I promised you that we would give you a nice list of guests and talk plenty of draft, lots of nuggets, which is exactly what we keep dropping. Okay. Remember, we're giving away a pair of tickets at the Seminole Casino Hotel in Immokalee. Stephen Marley is performing on May 4th at the Seminole Center Outdoor, which is going to be awesome. He's got a new album. It's called Old Soul and Inner Circle. Bad boys, bad boys. Oh, what you gonna do? Oh, what you gonna do when they come for you? They are opening up for the great Stephen Marley, 8-time Grammy Award winner. If you want to go, use that QR code there. And if you want to win a pair of tickets, please send me your full name, your number, and your email to my DM on Twitter at Big O Show, or on Instagram, Big O Radio Show, or Threads, Big O Radio Show. DM me in those. Send me your full name, phone number, and email. Remember, the Seminole Casino Hotel in Immokalee is in northern Palm Beach County. So if you live in Dade or Broward and you're not willing to drive, don't go for the tickets, okay? So, if you're really going to the concert, you're going to hang out with us, because I want you to hang out with us. Be a nice outdoor place. Look for us. I'll be there with the wife. We'll be grooving. It's going to be an awesome concert. I feel good now. I can stand. I can actually go to these concerts and really enjoy myself, So we're going to have fun, bro. I'm going to be grooving with the wife. So, you guys can go out there and join me. So send me your info and I'll pick a winner. The winner I pick, I'll tell you, and I'll tell you where you can get your tickets. And you'll be joining me for Stephen Marley. You're going to have a great time. So check it out. All right. Appreciate you all out there. All right. Manny Navarro will join us at the top of the hour. Let's get to our 3A Graphics sports calendar. Why don't we? Alan Blanco and the great people at 3A Graphics, 786-618-1443. You need uniforms for your business, maybe T-shirts for your fantasy league. Maybe you're having an outing, a picnic, and you want to get T-shirts for the company or whatever. They do it all there at 3A Graphics. Maybe you're printing magnets and calendars and pens and all that kind of stuff that you want to give your customers. 3A Graphics can do all of that for you. Call them 786-618-1443. Support the amazing sponsors that support this platform. Braves over the Marlins yesterday, 3-0. Tonight, they will continue the set. Trevor Rogers, Max Fried, 7:20 first pitch. Lightning and Panthers tonight at Amerant Bank Arena at 7:30 is the face-off. Panthers favored by a goal and a half, plus 142 there. If you want to give the goal and a half. Wednesday, the Miami Heat are back in action to take on the Celtics on the road for Game 2 of their Eastern Conference playoff series. Last night, Cavs over the Magic 96-86. They're up 2-0 in the series. Knicks over the Sixers 104-101. Knicks up 2-0 in the series. They actually work hard in the regular season and in the postseason, unlike a team that I know in town. The Denver Nuggets defeated the Lakers on a last-second shot by Mr. Murray, 101-99. Denver is up 2-0. So there you go. Tonight, Suns Wolves at 7:30, Pacers Bucks at 8:30, and Mavs Clippers at 10 o'clock. That's what's going on. That's your 3A Graphics sports calendar. Lewis Katz, thank you, sir, for the love on the super chat. Very nice of you. Very nice of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Remember, you can make a donation through Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. Like Steve M. I love the Trumpies. Like, he's a Trumpy. Like, I have a couple friends of mine that are Trumpies. And when I have fun with them, he's like, Biden visited a convenience store today trying to copy Trump. And I'm like, why should I care? I don't care about Biden or Trump. I love the Trumpies. Like, they need to pick on Biden because they, their own candidate. The only thing I would say to Hateful Steve, look, as long as Biden doesn't copy him with insurrection, we're good. Copy anything, but not insurrection. That's all, Hateful Steve. But thank you for the super chat, Hateful Steve. I appreciate you. Isn't it funny? Like, one's got to pick on the other, and it's like, bro, I don't really care about either one. Trumpies. Anyway, a lot of teams draft QBs that don't fit their system, or they just draft shitty QBs. So, let's see. Don't blame NFL franchises for the drafted QB bust. Michael Jordan didn't go to a stellar team. How about building it together instead of asking for accommodations? So Tampa shouldn't trade for Tom Brady? Is that what you're saying? Win. I don't care how you win. I don't care if you drafted the guy. I don't care if you traded for him, but, that's kind of the way they do things nowadays. They want to join teams to, they go ring chasing. It's kind of what they do nowadays. What are you going to do? The Michael Jordan thing, it worked out for him. They ended up drafting some players, but then they also acquired Dennis Rodman for the second half of those three championships. You needed Dennis Rodman. So you acquired him. And he was kind of a hired gun in those days. You know what I'm saying? So I don't care how you win, bro. To me, it doesn't matter. I used to hear that from when the Heat were winning, and then Warriors idiots were like, well, we built our team naturally. You guys had to go trade for it. Like, who gives a shit? And then they go and trade for Durant, and now they shut up. San Antonio did the same thing. They were fortunate that they were able to do it from within. It's the only way they're ever going to win. But then they had to then start buying players because, now, and then they were lucky again that they sucked, that they ended up with the number 1 pick and ended up with Wemby. And that's how you can help turn your franchise around. But if you don't, you're going to have to trade for players. So the dumbest thing I ever hear from fans, you're going to complain about how you build a winner? It's a winner. Who gives a shit? The 03 Marlins were mostly built from within, right? You only had Pudge and Urbina and Redmond and, just a couple of pieces. Everything else was from, young guys and the fire sale from 97. Now, the 97 championship was bought. You had a couple of pieces, Charles Johnson, a couple of things that were there from the youth. But even Luis Castillo wasn't ready for that championship. They sent him to the minors, and he was ready for 03. So it's just like it. But do I give a shit about 97 or 03? There's still 2 titles. Silliest thing in sports. Well, we built ours from the draft. Well, sometimes you can build from the draft, and sometimes you're going to have to trade for it. Who cares? Front office got it done one way or the other. That's all that matters. Hour number 3, Manny Navarro, next. For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
Viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. If you're a Miami sports fan, there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2655 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop. Time for Canes fans to get what they want. Information, insight, and perspective. It's the Caneswear Miami Hurricanes Report with Manny Navarro. Exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. Here's Big O and insider Manny Navarro.
Dara Hashgraph up 12.5%. Woo! Just climbed over 10 cents, Manny.
Victories, huh?
Hey, when your bag is at 4 cents?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll take it.
You goddamn right. That bag's over 120%.
Yep.
That sounds like profits to me.
Happy for you, man.
Goddamn right. You got to hang in there, bro. But that's where you buy all the way at the bear market like a year ago when it was at 4 cents. And everybody's telling you, you're a fucking maniac. You're crazy. What are you doing? Don't worry. It'll come back. It'll come back. And sure enough, baby, Hedera. Woo! Love it. It's about to explode. The whole market's about to explode. It is. The MACD is turning on Bitcoin, and it is. You're going to see. Watch Bitcoin make an 80 to 90,000 run now. Watch. It's coming. It's about to pop, bro. It's about to pop. Anyway, so what's popping with the Canes? What is popping in the recruiting world?
Well, Damian Martinez, the running back from Oregon State, will be visiting here on Thursday. So that's the big fish in terms of who Miami is chasing. Martinez, of course, 1,100-yard rusher, number 2 in the Pac-12 last season, one of the best available running backs. I think the only guy better than him really was Quinshon Judkins, who ended up going to Ohio State. So he's basically the second best running back that entered the portal this cycle. And, a guy that I think Miami really needs, especially, not knowing how Mark Fletcher is going to come back from his foot and shoulder injuries. And same thing with A.J. Allen, who's the other guy who they really like that stayed around, that they brought in from Nebraska the year before. So you need a true number 1 guy. I think Damian Martinez is perfectly fit for this offense. He can team up with Cam Ward, and you got 2 of the best players in the backfield in the ACC this coming season. So Miami's trying to convince him when he comes to visit Thursday. There's a couple of other guys that they're after as well. Had a couple of guys jump into the transfer portal as well in the last couple of days. Most notable.
Don't tell me. Come on.
Yes. Jared Harrison Hunt, one of your starters on the defensive line.
Okay.
The D tackle.
They're not going after Cormani McLean, right?
Oh, no. They lost one notable player in Jared Harrison Hunt. Everybody else who's left really wasn't a starter. They were just kind of rotation guys, or just guys that never really even got into the rotation over the last week or so. So, Harrison Hunt was a starter, but I will say that Mario was really excited about the 2 guys that they brought in to play defensive tackle in terms of transfers that were here this spring. So, one of those things where playing time, the guy's the 6th-year senior, and he's not going to get to play as much because he's going to be part of a rotation. So now you play the freshmen. You play some of the younger guys that you've brought in. Ahmad Moten, who's in his 3rd year. You've got some talented freshmen coming in, so those guys will take up Jared Harrison Hunt's slack. But, the next week or so will be interesting. Right now I got Miami, I think, at 84 scholarships based on my math of who's come and gone. So they're under the 85. They can add. There'll probably be a couple more guys who are just, I hate to say it, dead weight at the bottom of the roster that'll end up leaving. And then you free up those scholarships to add, another 4 or 5 guys.
Okay. I like it. Good stuff there. For Jakari, he is transferring.
Yeah.
Was it worth it to stick around the extra time for him and then transfer, or would it have been better for him to just enter the portal from the get-go when the season ended to get a better chance for him to latch on somewhere else? Because, you put the rest on, you put a little bit more on tape, and maybe it wasn't good enough what you put on tape to entice anybody. So you gave him more of what you didn't want to entice. So I'm just wondering, did it kind of backfire on the kid?
Probably, but I think you couldn't have predicted it because remember, Cam Ward didn't sign till late, right? And so basically his competition when he could have switched schools was just going to be Emory Williams and Reese Poffenbarger and the freshman that came in. So the moment Cam Ward came in, it made things obviously more difficult for him. And, it's just the way college football is now. Everybody, I think, just has a hard time because, you invest time, right, in developing these kids. You spend years, 2 years, 3 years developing, and then they leave, and you're like, man, what a waste. And it's like, no, it's happening everywhere in college football. Everybody everywhere. And here's the thing I tell people, look at the assistant coaches and how long they stick around now. It's not very long. So what happens is the position coaches switch teams, and they just bring the guys that they were working with at their other school to come with them to their new school. And that's just what happens, So I I think this is the new era, and you kind of just have to get adjusted to it in college football. You're going to invest in guys, you're going to develop them, you're going to recruit the hell out of them out of high school, and they could pick up their bags and leave after a year or two because the situation has changed. And I think that the most important thing is that you take your cuts, and Mario takes his cuts, and he lands some big fish. And as long as you land a few big fish, it doesn't matter who the supporting fish are. In my mind, they're going to rotate year to year.
Yeah, I had somebody on Twitter. Oh, well, Mario's losing players. He can't. And I'm like, dude, everybody. It's like it's all over the place. All these punks are like they don't get what they want, and they're leaving right away, dude.
Right.
They have that option now. They could just pick up and leave, and that's fine. And I'm gonna go with Larinaga on this. All you're gonna do is hurt your development. Unless the program's a complete utter disaster, then okay, you got to leave. But if you're going to keep moving around, you're not ever going to get better, bro. It doesn't work that way. And to me, the guys that stay and stick it out and play and continue to play, they're going to improve personally. And so that's going to help you in your development overall. The whole team thing, I kind of get it, but bro, if you're getting your NIL money, then the next thing you're supposed to do is work your ass off but they want it all handed to them.
Right.
Now,
well, and that's the thing here. I mean, Miami's approach basically is pay big up front, right? Bring them in the door. You have the talent. You have the guys that have the big bodies that are supposedly the best recruits. Then you put them through hell. And if they can't stand hell, get out. If you can't take the coaching and you're not really ready to take those next steps, then hey, you know what? They knock on your door and say, hey, remember that $750,000 NIL deal or $500,000? It's only good for this year. And next year, you're only getting $100,000 or $50,000. And if you don't like it, see ya. And that's basically what happens. It's a year-to-year deal. And it's smart business. I mean, ultimately, every one of these coaches doesn't really know what they're getting. They can recruit the hell out of guys. They can get to know their families. But then it's once you have them in the building and, hey, you got to show up to practice. Hey, you got to show up to school. Hey, you got to do all these other things. Until you go through that, you really don't know what that guy is. And sometimes the kid is a good player and he does all the right things, but he wants to play for a different coach, or he has somebody else that he wants to go play for. He likes the position coach and he wants to follow the position coach to that school. So it's just a revolving door, and that's what happened. College football became everyday free agency, and that's the insanity of it.
Yeah. It's just kind of what we're going to end up dealing with. By the way, what'd you think of that whole Florida State and whole thing with that they've got to now go to mediation or something? What the hell is that?
I mean, listen, ultimately they're fighting to them and Clemson are just fighting to get their TV rights, right, from the ACC, and they're going to, and they can switch states, they can move it all around. Ultimately, somebody's going to have to make a decision, right? They're going to have to look at this contract and say it's fair or unfair, whether it's mediators, whether it's the Supreme Court, whatever it is. And I shudder to think that at some point somebody's going to actually give Florida State and Clemson and the rest of all of college football to just say, well, none of these TV contracts that you signed, none of these deals, these grant of rights count or matter because they're unfair. If they do that, you talk about chaos with players. Imagine that now, year to year to year, where people are just switching conferences because they want to chase the money for the bigger TV contract. I don't, at some point, the NCAA and these TV, these powerful TV networks have to come to some sort of agreement so there's some level of regulation. Maybe this is what spurns it, where we get to a point where, the contracts that they're signing are not valid. Maybe that's what happens with Florida State and Clemson, but I just don't see it because it would create all kinds of chaos, for college football and for college sports in general. So we'll see, but maybe mediation is the way to the right answer for this. And maybe the ACC just says, you know what, Florida State and Clemson, you can go. We'll agree to let you leave. And sayonara. Good luck getting into the SEC or Big Ten and getting those deals. So
they'll scoop them up. Those programs will be scooped up, bro.
Oh yes, but will they get all of that pot? Will the Big Ten or SEC schools say, yeah, go ahead, you're equal to the rest of us, or they're going to do kind of what the ACC has done to SMU and to Cal? And
nah, I doubt it, bro. I see. Here's my problem with all of this, Manny.
Yeah.
and you're probably just like I am. We've been at this so long, we're freaking cynical at this point.
Yeah.
I have to think that Florida State and Clemson have had conversations with the other conferences already.
Oh, absolutely.
I
Yeah.
have to think that, hey, if you guys get out of it, you'll be one of our partners. And we're talking Florida State, Clemson. NC State, I can see them kind of pulling some shit like that on NC State. But Florida State, Clemson, or Miami, no, I think that's enough of a draw
What
you're
makes this
equal footing, because when they come to your town, they're going to fill it up.
What makes this cloudy ultimately is that you have two predominant TV channels that are in the middle of all this, right? You have the Fox network, right, which is the Big Ten, and then you have ESPN, who already owns these schools technically, because SEC is part of ESPN.
Right.
So are they really going to pay them that much more? They're going to say, hey, we've got this deal with the SEC. SEC, you want to add Florida State and Clemson. That's great, but you're going to have to cut the pie a little bit more. And are they going to are they all going to be willing to accept that, so to speak, that smaller pie? I don't know.
Now, on the flip side, for our purposes down here, if you're Miami, you have rooting interest in this, right? Because this opens the door for you, correctly? If they're successful, this kind of like what happened. You don't follow this shit, but a Ripple had a very successful case against the SEC and Gary Gensler, which opened up by proving that they weren't a security and that they're a commodity, which then opened it up for the rest of crypto to then get the freedom that they need. And so that was a watershed moment for crypto. So I'm thinking this could be a watershed moment for the conference and for if Florida State and Clemson are successful here.
Right. But it all depends on how it gets resolved, though, because like I said, what if they go to mediation and ACC just decides, you know what? We don't want to lose our grant of rights, but we're going to let Clemson and FSU pay their way to leave. And we're not going to charge them $560 million, but we're going to have some other agreement. That doesn't necessarily open the door for Miami and everybody else. Right. Which is why I said it's hard for me to think that the court system is just going to say none of these contracts, which is what FSU and Clemson are trying to do. They're basically trying to say these grant of rights and these deals that we signed are no good anymore because we signed it at a time when the business was different. Right. Yeah. And the contracts were different. So that's the argument. It's how does this get resolved? Through mediation or through the court system, where some sort of big ruling comes down that frees everyone from grant of right contracts and says, no, this no longer is valid. You can't make these deals and sign them through 2036 anymore. And what does that do to the entire landscape of college football? Does the Big Ten turn around and all of a sudden kick Rutgers and Maryland and all the programs who do nothing for them out of their league in terms of football? Does the SEC turn around and say, Vanderbilt, thanks for the last 100 years, but peace? That's the interesting part of it. I don't know that we'll get to that. My hunch is we'll get to the part where the ACC just relents and says, you know what? We added these three other teams in the offseason. We're happy with them. Go ahead and get out of our face.
Yep, I'm with you there. All right, what do you got going on in the athletics so folks can check you out, my friend?
Well, we've had lots of transfer portal nuggets. My buddies Max Olson and everybody else there on the staff, we've been putting out every little tidbit in the transfer portal. So if you want to keep track of that, we've got a tracker for everybody in the country and what teams are looking for and who's leaving and all that kind of stuff. We've also got a podcast that I did last week with Carlos Ledo for the Hurricanes. We talked about Miami's situation in particular, and we've got like I said, this is the off-season time, so we do some of these fun little projects. I did a all-state team in the modern recruiting era for California. So California being, of course, one of the best talent producers. So that's the latest one that I just finished putting up. Got some recruiting feature stories. There's a bunch of stuff in there for people to read.
There you go. Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. Manny, as always, thank you, my brother. We'll catch up on Friday, my friend. Appreciate you.
All right. Take care, man. See you.
Thank you, sir. There you go. Manny Navarro, Caneswear. Use our code BIG010. Whenever you go there, you will get 10% off. And if you don't live in town or you live too far from Caneswear there in Davie, you can order online. And if you order over $99, you'll get free shipping. And if you use our code, you will get 10% off. So free shipping over $99 and use our code 10% off. It's a beautiful thing. Caneswear.com.
Welcome to Caneswear. New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, Caneswear has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot Miami fans shop.
I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloman Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
Welton Rayom has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They're committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. Property damage claims to your home, business, or condo as a result of a hurricane. Welton Rayom can help. Water, mold, fire, smoke damage, Welton Rayom can help. Call 954-966-4646.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Jamming, I wanna jam it with you. Jamming, and I wanna like jamming too. Yo, this is Steve Marley, yo. And on May the 4th, I'll be in Immokalee at the Seminole Casino Hotel with the legendary Inner Circle. See? We see you there, Rastafari love. And I'm jamming with you, yeah. Jamming, yeah. And I'm jamming too, yeah.
The viewpoints, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
All right. Welcome back, folks. So the Warren Buffett-backed Nubank, Brazil's largest digital bank, now allows customers to deposit and withdraw Bitcoin. Old ass Warren Buffett. He used to shit on Apple. 60% of Berkshire Hathaway is now Apple. He and Munger, rest in peace, shitting on Bitcoin for years. Now he's on the Bitcoin bandwagon. It's amazing how people will lie to you, man. Our government lies to you. People lie to you. They keep you stupid, because I see a lot of people that, they still are trying to fight the whole Bitcoin thing because they hear other people that they think have their best interest. They really don't. So just kind of crazy how shit works out, man. It really is crazy. But Bitcoin's the one that's having the last laugh. And those of us that, of course, that are on the wave. Ooh, right now it's 66,603.91. I'm dying to catch it at 66. I have caught it at 66,666, right? Which is the number of the beast. But since they put the cents after, I have not caught it at 66,666.66. It's usually other numbers, 03, 74, 98, whatever. But I'd like to get it sixes all the way across. So this will be the window for it, because eventually it's about to shoot up, and we're going to be going to 90 very soon. We're going to be hitting into the 80s, 90, 95. It's coming. It's about to pop. It's about to pop, baby. Whew. It's getting closer. The next jump is getting closer, which is so beautiful. And then we'll consolidate again for a little bit, maybe have a little bit of a correction. What do you do? Okay, what have we done the last 4 times? I just can't wait to show you. I really can't wait for this to pop and show you what we've collected during this time, and just kind of show you the growth, So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Let's see. What do we have on the chart here on the chat? Anthony B, BlackRock and H-Bar. Are you telling me that BlackRock got into H-Bar? I don't know. Hedera Hashgraph H-Bar just got chosen by BlackRock to tokenize their money. Oh, really? Oh, nice nugget by you, Anthony. I got to look that up. I'm a big Hedera guy. Bro, the Federal Reserve is using Hedera. The Federal Reserve. The Fed now payments are going to be on Hedera. I've been on Hedera for a while now. I'm a big Hedera guy. So, and I've been telling you about Hedera for a while, when it was down in the 4-cent range and the 5-cent range and 6-cent range. And I was telling you, hey man, this is it. But again, this was a year ago, and we were in the middle of the bear market, and it takes balls. It takes guts to be investing in the middle of a bear market where it's at the bottom of all bottoms. It's not human nature. Human nature for us is to, unfortunately, buy when it's high and sell when it's low. We panic when it drops and sell. We panic when it drops and we sell, and we celebrate and buy when it's high. And it's the weirdest thing in the world, when you have to be programmed the other way around. But we have to fight that, because everybody was calling me crazy. Oh, you're still buying Bitcoin at 16,000, at 20,000, at 25,000. What an idiot you are. It was in 60. Why would you buy it now? Because it'll go back past 60. That's why, asshole. And so I don't hear those people anymore. All those people that were laughing at me when I bought Bitcoin at 16 and an 18 and 20 and 25 and 30, and they were laughing at me because it was at 60. Where are they now? I got to take this call. Sorry. Sean, quick break here. Appreciate you guys. Back in 2 minutes, I think. 2 minutes.
This is the Big O Show. 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 O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloman Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
When presenting an award to an employee, athlete, executive, or fantasy GM, make sure you call Orvietos Awards and More. For 35 years, these custom award specialists have been providing plaques, trophies, custom framing, while providing state-of-the-art laser and computerized engraving, UV printing, and glass crystal etching. They do all their engraving and printing in-house for quality control. Call Charles at 305-949-8098 or visit them at orvietosawards.com. Orvietos Awards and More, where recognition is rewarding. With more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes, Welton Rayom is committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. They handle complex personal injury claims caused by the fault of another in both state and federal courts. They handle auto, trucking, motorcycle, slip and fall, and bicycle accidents. Call 954-966-4646. That's 954-966-4646. Welton Rayom can help. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
All righty, we are back. Thank you for hanging in. No, it wasn't a Dolphins call. It was more of a personal call. I had to take it. No Dolphins news or anything, because I know you guys are going to start with that, because it's happened before where I get a call and has to do something with the Dolphins. This has nothing to do with the Dolphins whatsoever, so we're good. But I appreciate you hanging in there. Thank you all out there. Brett Dodger says a 6666666 BTC will be a financial apocalypse. Ray says, it's awesome to see the Panthers having success against the Lightning. I remember there was a time they used to dominate them in the regular season and playoffs. Yeah, I mean, the boys have grown up, and, you know, I think this franchise is better than theirs right now. But you got to prove it on the ice, and that's the next step. The good thing is that the Panthers have the weapons, man. They have the talent. They have real stars on this team. Oh, and by the way, unlike the Heat, they actually play hard in the regular season. Yeah, I'm going to hold that against the Heat a lot. Yeah. I don't think I'll be that invested in the regular season next year, to be quite honest. If this is what's coming back next year, I probably won't, maybe I'll give it a chance at the beginning to see if Jimmy Butler wants to try, but there's probably a good chance I will have less interest in the Miami Heat regular season with Jimmy Butler around. What's there to, why should I watch? You know what I'm saying? You know what you should watch is the Spring into Performance sales event going on right now at Acura Pembroke Pines at 15601 Pines Boulevard, just off of I-75 in Pines, where you can spring into performance sales event going on right now. We've got 1.9% financing for 36 months on the 2024 Integra, which is $299. the RDX, which is $419, the MDX, which is $489. And one of the things that Larry Schlossberg has out there is a dealership with great salespeople that will listen to you. It's a beautiful thing when they listen to you. They take the time to what do you want? What do you need? What are you looking for? And then the selection. Because they are the number one volume sales dealership here in the Southeast United States, one of the things that they give you, the customer, is not only a comfortable environment, a great lounge to hang out, free water, they've got snacks, they've got a little cafeteria, all of that for you. But they've got the largest selection out there, man. They've got a large selection of new and certified pre-owned vehicles. That way you can walk around that ginormous lot and pick the car you want, the color you want, the style you want, the model you want, but more importantly, the price you want. So get on down there to Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines and tell them that Big O sent you. Trust me, Larry Schlossberg and the boys will take care of you. No one wanted crypto last year when it was cheap. Well, not just that. It's just, we had a lot of people that were dissing it because we have people in our government, we have people in leadership positions and financial institutions that were lying to the public about it. That's the worst thing about it, is that we have lied to the public. Not here on this show. On this show, we have enlightened you. We have educated you. Okay? We have kept you in the forefront of all of this. Really ahead of everybody else, ahead of 95% of the world. That's how this show has been. But that's, what can I tell you? Yeah. Bad people out there, man. Bad people. Sometimes they look like Warren Buffett, and sometimes they look like Elizabeth Warren. But they're bad people. And they lie to you about Bitcoin. And so now the IMF, okay? The IMF is basically the folks that kind of drive everything in Europe. And nobody has been against crypto more almost than the IMF. Okay? They told El Salvador in 2020 not to use Bitcoin as legal tender. Do you know what the IMF put out yesterday? This is 2020. Do you know what they put now in 2024? Bitcoin protects savings for individuals in high inflation countries. The IMF was threatening countries that went to Bitcoin that they would then be threatened to be, be knocked off of their money system. And El Salvador just gave them the middle finger and kept going. And they did the right thing. And now the IMF, like Warren Buffett, like plenty of other people, have changed their minds. And, it's not that they changed their minds. It's that they finally gave in to something that they knew they couldn't stop anymore. That's all. Since they can't control it, the government can't manipulate it. That's a problem for them. I touched a little bit on it with David Furones. Tyreek Hill, he felt disrespected by the Chiefs. And, we talked about the stuff that he told the podcast yesterday about, getting called out by Mike McDaniel. And what did I tell you? I call it all white noise. Just want. And so now he says, he talks about Pacheco, who got his number 10. Says Kansas City got a really good running back. He's a dog. You can hear and see every step he takes. He runs so hard. I did feel disrespected when they gave him the 10, though. I didn't like that. There's only 110 now. There should only be 110 in your heart. And Tyreek Hill, my man, if you want to endear yourself to people that way, you have to make a commitment to it. You were only there for 6 years. And 2 of the 6 years, you got 860 and 593 yards. The other four was 1239, 1276, 1479, and 1183. Those were the other 4 years. Terrific years. Don't get me wrong. Awesome years. But you were there for 6 years and only 4 stellar years and a championship. Well, guess what? That doesn't get your number retired anywhere. Shouldn't. You weren't there a career or a lifetime. You were there for half your career. I don't know if you'll spend your other half here. You've only been here 2, and I think you're only going to be here 3 is what it looks like to me. I mean, that's been my prediction for a little bit now. So I just, there's this thing like, and sometimes it's our own fault because I see the Miami Heat retire numbers that, I'm sorry, but there's, whether it's retired or honored or whatever, there's no need for Jordan. There's no need for Marino there. You know what I'm saying? Really? And I don't know. Sometimes some of these numbers, like Shaq or LeBron, I know you won a title or 2, but you weren't here a long time. Kind of have a hard time doing that. I'd rather retire the number of somebody that really dedicated their careers to your team. Not just a portion of their career. That's our own fault that we've gotten to this point because we're in this me society. We're not in a we society. We're in a me society. Nobody thinks about your fellow man anymore. It's just about me. And this is just all part of it. It's the disease of me. It's funny that Riley talks about the disease of me a long, long time ago. And he's feeding it by doing some of the things that the organization does. I think if you retire somebody's number, it's because that person had a long dedication to your team, to your franchise, to your fan base. A generation grew up watching you. I get if you want a title, that's nice, but it's not enough. So the Bucks, they should retire Tom Brady's number because he was there for 3 years and won 1 title? No. Only New England should retire his number. It's a weird dynamic now. And what Tyreek's feeling is a product of that. And I think that has jumped the shark. The whole retirement stuff. Before, it used to be for generational players of your team. Somebody that grew up and got old on your team. You know what I mean? They didn't have to win a title, but if they won a title or 3 or 5, great. But at the same time, they were there for a long time. Now we've gotten to the point that if you just accomplish something, okay, we're going to retire your number. It's kind of weird. I just don't buy that. I'm retiring Mahomes' number. I'm retiring Chris Jones' number. I'm not retiring Tyreek Hill's number. I'm retiring Travis Kelce's number. These people played their entire careers with our team and won 3 titles and counting. Yeah, that's what you retire. Those are the numbers you never give up because they dedicated their career to your team. So I'm sorry. And this is just part of the me disease. What Tyreek had. It's not a Tyreek thing. It's a whole societal thing. From franchises to players, this has been misdefined. I don't know if that's a word, but we are not using this for what it is. So. Besides the phone call, I had to go downstairs to get more water. I was out of water, too. I go through water on this show like it's nothing, dude. Jesus Christ. I drink a lot of water on the show. Let's see. When are the Heat going to go back to acquiring? Well, it's Lenny. It's a catch-22. They keep making mistakes, giving away picks and bad salaries and all that. So then they put themselves in a position where they don't have enough collateral in order to trade for stars. So that's been their problem now. And then when they had it last year, Damian Lillard was a complete wuss and didn't fight for it. So, Jimmy coming back from the MCL injury, good chance he's not going to try in the regular season. Well, then I'm not going to try. I've gotten to a point now where I'm wasting my time watching the regular season with the Heat because you're not trying. So I'm just going to get frustrated. Although I do like the Jovic Jaquez thing, so watching their development might be fun. It's just Jimmy pisses me off, man. If the Heat bring back the same team and Jimmy does the same BS, can we still be a better? No, you can't. You're not going anywhere. Unless, dude, Jovic and Jaquez turn into stars. If they turn into stars that can carry you offensively night in and night out, what Bam and Tyler can't do, yeah, okay. But that's a hell of a step for both of those young cats. You know what I'm saying? So that needs to happen. You need stars on this team, bro. We don't have stars. McDaniel called out Hill. Yes, we already talked about that. We talked about it yesterday a lot, so you can check it out. You can go to yesterday's show. Ocala Joe, Orlando, I saw Crypto Casey video, and she said that she estimates after this halving event, Bitcoin will reach 169K easily. Yeah. I it might be 169K by the end of this year. Okay. What's coming? It's brewing, dude. And it's all besides the regular Bitcoin having the regular Bitcoin growth, the regular limiting of the supply. The opposite of what we do in this country. We just print more dollars and devalue our dollar. Well, in Bitcoin, it's less and less, which then, right? Besides that, the ETFs. The ETFs all over the world are going to explode. And then what's going to also happen besides the ETFs? Human beings are going to now go, wait a minute, not you, Ocala Joe, because you're ahead of the game. People are going to go, oh, shit, I better get some Bitcoin. I better find some Bitcoin. This thing's growing. So we haven't even gotten to the regular public FOMOing in yet. That will be the other catalyst that will jack it to hell. And then we've got the 401ks coming, and they're starting to add it. Everyone's 401k will have Bitcoin now. Everyone is demanding they want Bitcoin on their 401ks. This is just starting because no one, Ocala Joe, is educated, and they don't realize what's happening. And by the time they realize it, the supply will be dwindling to a point. This ain't the US dollar, bro. They ain't going to print more. There's a limited supply, and it gets more limited every 4 years. But the world has not understood that. Only the people that watch this show and maybe the other 5% of the world understand what's going on. Outside of that, 95% have no idea what's about to hit them. This is going to be the biggest transition of wealth that has ever happened in our world, not just country. So this is the beginning of digital property. We already have it on websites and all kinds of products like that, but this is digital property that is going to have more value than anything else. Because look at the way it moves. Nothing moves like this. There's no asset in the world that moves like this. A house doesn't move like this. A New York City Park Avenue apartment doesn't move like this. Okay? So it's just a matter of, it's an adjustment that people have to make because it's different. It's like I tweeted out yesterday. You didn't know shit about internet and email 25 years ago. You were intimidated. You got like, oh my God, plenty of people wanted nothing to do with it. Plenty of people doubted it. It will never work. Crypto is being absorbed in our world at a faster pace than the internet. And so think about those of you that are old enough where you were 25 years ago, 30 years ago when they mentioned the internet and email. It was like The Exorcist. Get me onions. Get me some holy water. You know, you're like, nah, you want nothing to do with it. You didn't want to find out about it. The internet. Same shit. You will be using crypto and stable coins and DeFi and the blockchain and Web3 and bet your ass on that. And cold storage wallets and warm wallets and online wallets, and you're going to use all of it. You don't realize it. I've been telling you for 3+ years now, but you go ahead. It's happening. So that's the story, Ocala Joe. So it'll go past 169, I think. Okay, 100,000 is nothing. That's right around the corner. Right around the corner. Yeah, this thing's gonna jack. Crypto Casey knows her shit, man. She's very smart. I learn a lot from her. Very intelligent, understands money very well. She's good, man. She's good. Jesse M says, I'm not sure why the Heat fan is asking Butler to do what Wade couldn't do in his last 2 years. Wade was 37, retired, and Jimmy will be 37 at the end of his contract. Yeah, it's just, it's different. They're wired differently. Wade just doesn't, Wade wasn't a guy that mails shit in. You know, it's just different, bro. And he's not Wade. He was never Wade anyways. Wade's a number one. Jimmy's a number one here because there's nothing else. Let's be honest now. In a real pecking order, Jimmy Butler at his best is number two, not a number one. But so, you know, we have a problem defining players in this town at times. That's why this whole Bam and Tyler bullshit went on for so long. And, you know, I'm trying to talk people off the ledge like, yo, dude, those aren't stars. They're not franchise guys. They're not ones or twos. Tyler's not even a 3. Bam is a 3. Bam can be the complement to 2 stars. You know, he can be that. He's perfect for that. But it's a problem we have. And Butler is not a number one franchise player. No, he's a number 2 at best. At best. Maybe more of a 3, if anything. I'll tell you what, he's a 3 if you have Shaq and Wade. He's a 3. He's a 4 if you have Bosh, Wade, and LeBron. He's a 3 if you have Timmy and Zoe. In real championship caliber team. Remember we were talking about yesterday how the Heat used to acquire stars or draft stars, and now they can't acquire any stars or draft any stars, right? Well, you think about it. Even your number one star is really not a number one star. In prior Heat teams, he's a number 3. He's not even worthy to be a 2. In prior Heat teams, like real championship caliber teams we've had in the past, he's a 3. We have like I said, we've dumbed down, like we did in football. We've dumbed down our expectations for what players are. We've done that a lot here with as Heat fans, I gotta say. What else do we have? Tyler Hero's Derrick Rose 2.0. I'm at Caneswear right now eating a La Spada, bro. Well, there you go. Big O10. Get 10% off. And tell them we sent you, by the way. Good people, man. Jeff, John, Brett, just great people, man, over there. They work their asses off, and they love what they do. That's the other thing that's pretty amazing, that they are completely dedicated to what they do. They do it with like an incredible passion, which is really, really cool. Remember, you can make a donation through Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That is Cash Big O Show, Cash App or Venmo. Tomorrow on the show, Jeremy Fowler is going to join us. Kyle Krabs is also going to join us. Some birthdays today. John Cena, he's 47. Gigi Hadid, model, 29. Shirley Temple was born in this date in 1928. We lost her in 2014 on the good ship Lollipop. Let's see. George Lopez is 63. Bunch of names here that I have no idea who the hell they are, bro. TikTok stars, YouTube stars. Josh Kiska. Yeah, baby. Singer Greta Van Fleet celebrating his 28th birthday. One of my favorite babes growing up as a kid. Brothers and sisters, this young man had to get in front of the TV every single week at a specific time because we did not have beta, VHS. Although I think the beta was kicking in then, but my ass could not afford a beta player or a VHS player in those days. Those things were like expensive as a mother. But there was this show, a comedy show. It was called One Day at a Time. And there was this incredibly cute young lady by the name of Valerie Bertinelli that became the heartthrob of many young men all around the country. And this young little boy in Little Havana was in love with Valerie Bertinelli every week. And I had to watch Valerie Bertinelli on One Day at a Time. That was must-see TV before the words were even uttered on NBC. Must-see TV. Valerie Bertinelli. Oh, must-see TV. Soft spot in my heart for Valerie Bertinelli. Always will have that. That's for damn sure. All right. Michael Moore, director, is 70 today. Roy Orbison, legend, born in the state in 36. We lost him in 88. James Buchanan, by the way, U.S. president, was born in 1791 on this date. And in 1868, he passed away. Somebody asked me about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame yesterday, and I didn't get into it. First of all, Ozzy had a comment about being inducted because he was inducted with Black Sabbath. I got a question for you now. Get your brains working. So he got inducted by Black Sabbath and with Black Sabbath, and now he got inducted as a solo artist, which both are, that's like Diana Ross, put her solo, put her with the Supremes, Stevie Nicks, Fleetwood Mac, put her solo. Eventually, Beyonce needs to go twice. She hasn't made it yet. But, I'm not a Beyonce fan. Well, physically, yes, not musically. But I do love Destiny's Girls music. Destiny's Child, I'm sorry. The girls there, that kind of music, I did enjoy Destiny's Child. I'm not really a big fan of, I don't really like Taylor Swift's music. I don't really like Gwen Stefani. I'm just not into that girly pop. So it's just not something that I really like. But of course, I'm going to give it its due. And I think Beyonce eventually should go in twice. I don't know if Destiny's Child will make it, but I don't think people realize how good they were and how many records they sold and how many hits they had. Destiny's Child deserves to be in there. So sometimes an artist deserves to go twice, right? So he made it, and he goes, thank you to Rock Hall, voters, and fans for this induction. My solo career has been a much larger part of my overall music career as a whole. So this feels more special. Not bad for a guy who was fired from his last band. And it's tongue-in-cheek, but it's true. First of all, his 2 albums with Randy are masterpieces, 2 of the greatest metal albums of all time. I don't know where you rank your top 20 metal albums, but if Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman aren't in your top 20, your top 20 is not a good list. That's all I got to say. I don't know what you got in your other 18, but there aren't 20 better metal albums in the history of metal better than Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman. It just does not exist. Those are 2 absolute perfect masterpieces. And then you can start talking about all the other hits he's had after that. Okay? The career has been amazing. Now, here's the question I have for you. Okay? I just mentioned 3 women that make it into the Rock Hall with their band and solo, right? So, on the male side, who gets in twice? Besides Ozzy, here's something for you, okay? How many? What's the other artist out there that has the possibility of getting in twice? Male. And then here's the other one that I have for you. Give me a band that 2 artists made it into the Hall of Fame on a solo. That's hard, right? Of course, it does not exist on the female side because you would need an all-female band, and you would need 2 females to leave the band, or they break up or whatever, and they go. So I'm thinking Lennon and McCartney. Right? It's the only one that I can come up with is Lennon and McCartney. They're the only ones that had Hall of Fame careers outside of the Hall of Fame band. It's hard to come up. Like, I thought about Glenn Frey and Don Henley, right? But I don't believe Glenn Frey had a Hall of Fame solo career. He had a couple of hits, really cool hits. I actually like Glenn Frey's solo career, but is it Hall of Fame worthy? No, it's not. Don Henley is. Don Henley's solo career, I have no problem inducting him into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because the Eagles are in, and I don't mind putting Don Henley in there. But I don't think that Glenn Frey had it. So is there another band out there, male, of course, no such thing. We just haven't evolved yet for females yet. But is there another one out there that 2 of their members left the band to have Hall of Fame solo careers? Because think about how special it is that you were part of a band that was a Hall of Fame band, and then you go off on your own to have your own Hall of Fame career. You know what I'm saying? Now, I could go Faces, right? But it's really not, because Ronnie Wood will make it with the Stones, not solo. Now, Rod Stewart, if you want to put Faces in there, but Rod Stewart can make it on his own. You know what I'm saying? But no, it's not those 2 from that band. So it's kind of, do we go deep like Yardbirds? You know what I'm saying? Then you can start to say, okay, but is it solo after that? So I'm just saying, throw it out there. I just wanted to throw it out there to see if I get any response on something like that. Something to think about. But it's pretty cool. I'm happy for Ozzy. And somebody asked me about the inductees, if I had any issues with the inductees. For the 2024 class, Dave Matthews Band, I don't have a problem with that. Cher, not a problem. A Tribe Called Quest, Mary J. Blige, Peter Frampton, Foreigner, Kool and the Gang, along with Ozzy. My question is, what took you so long to put in Kool and the Gang, Foreigner, and Peter Frampton and Cher? Like, they've been around forever. Why did we wait so long? Foreigner is one of the greatest bands of all time. They have hits, just hits that it's endless. Kool and the Gang has some of the most popular songs in the history of mankind. Kool and the Gang has music that will transcend forever. What the hell took you so long? That's the question I have for that. You know, what the hell took you so long, dude? Yeah, Justin Timberlake. But again, the question is 2 in one band. You know what I'm saying? That's the question. And then male, but I don't know if you put the boy band in the hall, and then or Justin, I think he deserves to be in the hall. The boy band, I mean, it was pretty successful, but I don't know. Is it Hall of Fame successful? Yeah, the Yardbirds are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yes. They have to be, bro. Let me see. They have to be. Well, but then again, you know, the Rock Hall screws it up a lot, so would not be Band was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 92. Yep. So you got it right there. And Eric Clapton went on to have a Hall of Fame career solo. Jeff Beck is a Hall of Famer in his own right. And Jimmy Page is a Hall of Famer, although not solo, but with Led Zeppelin. Jeff Beck it's interesting because he's a Hall of Famer because he's a Hall of Fame guitarist and he contributed so much. But I don't know if it's because he had a whole bunch of hits solo, you know? Not like Eric Clapton, who's a effing legend, you know? Yeah, Lionel Richie is definitely one that is definitely a two-timer there. And Phil Collins he's already in there. He's already in there. It's somebody that hasn't. Don Henley, I would give it to. I would put Don Henley in solo. I wouldn't put Glenn Frey in. So there you go. Peter Gabriel. See, here's my problem, and I have this argument with people about it. I don't find early Genesis nearly as good as some people do. And I certainly don't even consider it Hall of Fame worthy. I don't. Sorry. Maybe it's because I'm not impressed with the music, but I don't believe the Peter Gabriel Genesis has any business in the Hall of Fame. It's all Phil Collins. Okay? The Phil Collins Genesis, that's Hall of Fame. That's gold standard Hall of Fame. And Phil Collins' solo career and Peter Gabriel's solo career, for me, is 100 times better than Genesis psychedelic with Peter Gabriel. Sorry. So that's where I kind of like, I go the other way with some of these Genesis fans. That's, you know, that they swear by early Genesis. And I'm like, yo, dude, it's overrated. Please. It's not that good. It's just not that good. And it's nothing like Phil Collins Genesis. That's legendary. That's music that will transcend. Are you kidding me? Nobody plays early Genesis anywhere. It's not worthy of the Hall of Fame. So that's my problem with that. You know, it's like early Fleetwood Mac is nice with Peter Green. It's solid. It's actually better than the Peter Gabriel stuff. But once you added Lindsey and and what's it called? Stevie. It was over. You can't compare early Mac to that. It's not even close. And it's good. I still like I like early Mac. Don't like early Genesis, but I do like early Mac, but it doesn't compare. It went to another level with Stevie and Lindsay. Absolutely another level. So that's kind of, that's where I differ with some folks. Peter Cetera, Chicago, and his solo career was phenomenal, dude. I don't think he'll ever make it, but if you look at the hits he had solo, you could argue if you're going to put Donovan and T-Rex in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you can put Peter Cetera's solo career in the Hall of Fame. Put it that way. Okay? Peter Cetera had way more hits than T-Rex did. Solo. Bigger hits, too. I don't know. Captain Saki is checking in. He's checking in from Boca Grande, Florida today, not Tarpon Springs. What about Joan Jett? Well, Runaways, no. Runaways didn't do enough to get into the Rock Hall. They'll never make the Rock Hall. She's already in the Rock Hall by herself, and she deserves to be in the Rock Hall, no doubt. But the Runaways, what, for one song, Cherry Bomb? No. I enjoy the Runaways. Actually, I have I think all 4 of their albums, 4 of their CDs. So I jam Runaways. I don't mind the Runaways, but Lita Ford had a better career solo than the Runaways, and Joan Jett had a Hall of Fame career. Think about that. Lita Ford's solo career is way better than the Runaways. And Joan Jett, forget about it. That's Hall of Fame. That's the funny part. They left and had more success out of the band than with the band. They both became better out of the band than with the band. Lita Ford in those tight black leather pants is always a sight to see with the Runaways. Smoke show. Smoke show. Did I tell you she was a smoke show? Lita Ford. Whew. Smoke show. You don't like Dave Matthews? Oh, you don't think Dave Matthews? Well, you're probably not a Dave Matthews fan. That's probably why. That's understandable. That's fine. That's like me not being a Beyonce fan. But what am I going to do? Deny it? No, dude. Just look at it. Plenty of people love her. The Beehive is fanatical. All that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I don't like Taylor Swift's music either. I'm not into that shit. But I'm not going to deny it. So you may not like Dave Matthews, but you better not deny it. The guy sells out everywhere he goes, multiple nights. His fan base is rabid. They love Dave Matthews, dude. It's really not about having a whole bunch of giant hits. He has a couple, but he sells, and he sells out everywhere, and he's got an incredibly, it's like Fish. Fish is not mainstream. It's not shit that you're hearing on radio all the time, but it's mainstream underground, like Dave Matthews. Their following is, dude, they're in the sphere. You just can't, they're not going to just schedule you in the sphere if you're not somebody that brings juice. So Dave Matthews has all the juice. You may not like him. You may not like Fish. I may not like Beyonce or, Taylor Swift or, what's the other girl? Call him Hollerback Girl or whatever. What's her name? Gwen Stefani. I want nothing to do with Gwen Stefani's music now. No doubt. I'm in all the way. But we can't, just because you don't like it, doesn't mean it's not worthy. You know what I'm saying? So
That's what I would tell you. You may not like Dave Matthews raging, but you can't deny his popularity, his power, his juice. He's got plenty of it, bro. Plenty of it. And let me tell you something. It's actually a very good concert in the sense that he doesn't go and play like the same 15, 20 songs every night like some bands do. Like Iron Maiden is one of my favorite bands. You know, U2, Iron Maiden, or The Cure, The Fix. Those are my 4 favorite bands right there. Those are the 4 bands that I will kill to see every time they come. And one of the things that incredibly pisses me off about Iron Maiden is their laziness, that they just do the same set throughout the entire globe. They don't change a song. Robert Smith, you'll go to 2 concerts back-to-back nights, and you'll hear 25 different songs. U2 will change a couple, not a ton, but sometimes 2 or 3. So at least they give you a little something different. But, you know, what are you going to do? Anyway, there's a lot of acts I don't think deserve Hall of Fame honors. Popularity is not a criteria for honors on its own. There has to be others deserve induction before. Oh, well, yeah, but I just talked about it. Foreigner, there's a lot of bands that haven't been put in there yet. I get that, but it doesn't. You can't take away from other people that deserve it too. You know what I mean? So I don't have a problem with Dave Matthews, man. I know enough people that love Dave Matthews. Love Dave Matthews. You know? Dude 67, liking The Fix. There you go. Whenever I tell people that The Fix is one of my favorites, they're like, because all they know is one thing leads to another, and Red Skies at Night. It's funny. It's hilarious, actually. Anyway. We appreciate, by the way, David Furones, Manny Navarro, Chris Trapasso, Luke Easterling. As always, we thank Sean Stanley, the man, the myth, the legend that masters this entire platform every single day. If you are going to Saxon and Uriah Heep tonight, say hi to me. I'll be in the front row. Row A. So if you see me out there tonight, pull me aside, say hi. Would love to meet you. Always love meeting the folks that are kind enough to support our platform. And as most folks remember, there's only one rule on the show. Just don't tell the host what to do and what to talk about, and you'll be fine. You'll be just fine. That's all. Anyway, we'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place, same bat channel.